My headlights came over onto her body in front of the car, and I had to stop out in the middle of the creek, like right about here.
He finds a dead woman.
When I seen her, I swear my heart stopped. I just kind of got a little frantic, I think. I could tell she wasn't moving.
911, what's the address of your emergency?
I am at the end of Route M of 151, and there's a woman laying on the ground in front of a car.
I stayed in my truck, and I called 911.
I don't know what the hell's going on here.
All right, sir, would you mind if you would get out of your vehicle and check on her?
Yes, sir, I will.
It was just kind of a freaky situation. The whole time I'm standing there, I'm waiting on somebody to come out of the darkness. I had no flashlight that had batteries that was charged. I had my truck running behind me, so I couldn't hear nothing. I'm just, scared, like, when's somebody gonna come out of the woods?
You need to get the ambulance out here. There's a lady laying in front of the car. I don't know if she's alive, dead, or what.
They wanted me to just make sure if she was alive or not.
You can check on her and give me an update. That'd be greatly appreciated.
Finally, they got me out of the truck, and I grabbed my handgun and walked through the water, and I just kept on the phone with them.
Ma'am. Oh, my God. I don't think she's alive, no.
I seen if she was cold to the touch or if she had a pulse, and she did not. And I looked in her eyes, and I could tell that she was gone.
Her eyes are open. I swear to God, she's dead.
This case takes place in the American heartland. It's the northeastern section of the state of Missouri, Monroe County, and neighboring Randolph County. Bucolic agricultural community.
Not a whole lot of industry. The prison is one of the biggest employers. That is the Amish. There are kind of two big areas of Amish that are in northeast Missouri.
Just farm ground. I mean, there's dairy cows, there's beef cows, there's mainly, for the most part, just farming.
There's probably more animals than there are people in that county.
It's most well known for being the birthplace of Mark Twain, and he wrote a lot of his stories about this idyllic kind of landscape here in Monroe County.
Back at the crime scene, investigators are trying to identify this victim.
Where my patrol car is in the general vicinity of where we found the victim's car when we arrived on scene. Outside of the driver's door, there were what appeared to be blood on the ground, and then there were some drag marks in the gravel, and ultimately we found a deceased female in front of the vehicle.
She's wearing pajama pants or sweatpants, as well as a tank top.
123. Well, it was very obvious within the first few minutes to me that there was foul play involved.
She was essentially shot execution style. She had been shot once in the back of the head at point-blank range.
Some investigation was done as to ascertain the identity of the victim.
The weight didn't match on the DOR thing was the only thing I thought.
We initially run the vehicle registration, things of that nature.
Looks like it is Molly Watson. So.
Is it Molly Watson? Okay.
We were eventually able to figure out that the victim was Molly Watson.
Police wake up the family in the middle of the night with some pretty bad news.
My wife woke me up, said, "Your dad's on the phone. He doesn't sound good. Something happened." I'll never forget my dad. He said, "Timmy," he said, "the highway patrol just left our house." I was like, "What happened?" He said, "They found Molly dead in the road." I was like, "What?"
Sandy called me at 2 o'clock in the morning and said that the police had just been to their house and told them that Molly had been shot.
I think she kept screaming, "Molly's dead," didn't she?
Yeah. Knowing that Molly was dead was a big shock.
You can see I was preparing to work on my next costume when I decided to do this vlog.
She wanted to be a singer for a long time, and she had a really good singing voice.
I am going to sing the healing incantation from Tangled. Flower, gleam and glow, let your power shine.
She was one of the luckiest people I've ever known. Like whenever we would walk by like a pop machine, she would always like push the buttons, and I don't know how it would happen, but like a pop would come out. That's what's hard, I think, for me, knowing how she passed. And one of the most unluckiest ways possible.
Is it Molly Watson? Okay. Do you know how old she is now?
Police want to know what brought Molly to this dark, desolate place, and even more puzzling, who'd have a reason to kill her?
And I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Molly Watson's body was found
wearing her engagement ring
on her left ring finger
when she was shot to death.
Her marriage certificate was located in her car.
That had her name in there as well as her fiance's name.
They were planning a wedding.
Wedding of her dreams.
That wedding was less than 48 hours away.
The murder of Molly Watson sends a shudder through her community in rural Missouri. Everyone is asking why. The life she led didn't seem to be one that would end in violence.
Molly had been married in her early 20s, but just after a few years, that marriage ended in divorce. But during the breakup, she was pregnant and had a son.
He ended up having cerebral palsy, so he was unable to walk, but smart as could be.
She loved Declan. She would take him to the zoo, you know, she would take him about anywhere with her. That was just her world right there. And then she met Amber, who she started a relationship with.
This is just a photo album that we had put together, Molly and I had with Declan. My name is Amber Brady. Molly Watson and I were in a relationship for about 5 years. That's Molly that Declan's laying on, and I'm right behind Molly, and we're all just kind of napping on the couch. We actually met in kindergarten. We went to kindergarten together. We did not like each other whatsoever. I thought she was a weird little person, and she thought I was obnoxious.
Amber and Molly lost touch for a long time, but years later, the kindergarten adversaries crossed paths again.
We actually ran into each other downtown Moberly one day, and she's like, "Is that you?" I'm like, "Yeah." And so it just kind of kicked off from there. We actually grew a friendship there, and then things just got closer.
They find they like the grown-up version of each other much more.
She was just bouncy and bubbly all the time. I mean, anything would make her smile, the simplest things.
And they fall in love.
She was actually my first girlfriend. I was her. She was married at the time. I was too. But things weren't going well for either one of us.
Molly and Amber move in together, and when Molly's son is born, they're a little family.
We could talk. We could communicate. We like doing a lot of the same things. It just seemed to click.
But then Molly gets a new job.
She decided to go and apply at the prison, and that's where she was going to work. Moberly Area Correctional Center. She was a corrections officer 1. She was down in the wings that she had to do counts, search the cell, break up fights.
Molly meets somebody new at the prison. Not an inmate, but a lieutenant named James Addy.
I thought we were doing fine, but I guess they grew close.
Amber says she caught Molly and James at a motel.
And I went up there and knocked on the door. She answered. James Addy was getting dressed and leaving. That wasn't good.
Amber says there was another encounter at a gas station.
He gets out of the car, and he started to say something. I didn't give him the option. I told him, I said, "You need to shut up." I said, "You broke up our family."
At this point, she moved back into my mom and dad's house.
Amber says she's heartbroken, but Molly apparently is head over heels for James Addy.
I didn't have any friendship or anything to do with Molly. She had blocked me on everything, which that was fine. I mean, it wasn't a good breakup.
Molly was absolutely 100% in love with him. She would have walked the end of the earth for him.
It seemed like a pretty nice relationship. Smiling photos of them on trips together, a happy couple.
There was definitely an age gap there. At first, you know, it was weird for us, but, you know, everybody kind of got past it.
Growing up, Jim, far back as I can remember, he was always a good brother. He was a role model and example. He was in the Marine Corps, and then from the Marine Corps, he got out after Desert Storm and just created a life.
This guy is a proud veteran of the United States Marines. He was even born on the 4th of July. He's got 2 kids. He's worked as a mechanic, he's worked in a factory, and had gotten a job at the local prison where he was liked so much he reached the level of lieutenant.
James Addy does have some history. He's been married 4 times. He has so many ex-wives that apparently some of his own family members say they can't keep track of everyone's names.
I loved Melanie. She was always nice, always kind, funny. It was just Melanie. The type of women that Jim liked were very, very nice, very kind.
But now it's James and Molly.
And they really did seem to love each other. I mean, according to Jim, it was a relationship unlike anything he'd had before. Something that he said of mutual respect between the two, that they could share anything with each other. It's something any of us would love to have in a relationship with another person.
After 7 years of having this relationship with James, well, she surprises her family. She suddenly announces, "I'm engaged."
And it was just kind of all of a sudden, boom, let's get married now.
She was all about him. Her family even described it. This was what she's always been looking for. She was happier than she's ever been. She was ready for the wedding.
Oh, constant. We always heard about the wedding. We were very excited about the wedding. You know, the colors, the theme, the decorations.
There's a lot of burgundy and gold. Kind of reminded me of like a Renaissance kind of themed wedding. From Molly's perspective, it was gonna be a beautiful wedding and the best day ever.
You were booked for her makeup and hair 3 years ago.
Yes.
What did you know about Molly and the wedding and her fiance?
I remember meeting her. She was so excited. She wanted a Disney themed, and we had been working on a wedding that was Beauty and the Beast. And so we were like, we're very familiar with like doing this very like, you know, Disney themed wedding.
This dress, as you will see with it on me, I show it with me wearing 1 ball gown crinoline.
She was very excited. Well, she had how many dresses?
2.
2 dresses, yeah.
2 dresses. She could not make up her mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Molly wanted to do, was have a perfect wedding.
She was so excited.
Very excited because it had taken a while to get to that point, I guess, of them being married.
What did you make of Molly as a bride-to-be?
She was really sweet. I loved working with her.
A very wonderful wedding had been planned at the Stony Creek Inn. Molly had invited her family here to come to this event.
I got mine, sent my RSVP back.
The couple times that I met her, she always had a smile on her face. She was bubbly, she was happy, she enjoyed talking about her wedding. James was kind of the opposite of Molly. He was very quiet, didn't show much enthusiasm. I just thought he was just a groom along for the ride.
Is James looking to back out of the wedding? You see, in their text messages, Molly appears to be worried about that.
Are you still sure you want to marry me with my anxiety?
Before her life was cut short on that backcountry road, Molly was over the moon about her upcoming wedding to James Addy, but her family wasn't so sure.
I asked her, you know, what does your family think about him? And she was really kind of hesitant, and she said, you know, my family doesn't really like him. They've only met him a few times.
He pulled in one day and Sandy was in the kitchen and she says, "Come here, come here." So we're standing in the kitchen looking out the window and I went, him? She likes him? And she said, yeah.
Even though Molly and James have been together for 7 years, they don't really know this guy. Molly's brother even says he doesn't know James's last name.
He could never look you in the eye. He could never talk to you directly. Everything was very evasive with him. He put off bad vibes to everybody.
He was like a ghost that would come in and go out, but Molly was protective. It was her business.
Now Molly is finally getting married again, but some of her closest relatives send their regrets. They're not coming.
That was my last message to Molly. I'm not gonna be able to go. My kids have a softball and baseball tournament that weekend. I said, but you know how I feel about weddings and funerals. I kind of have a thing anyway that I just kind of avoid weddings and funerals.
Molly finally had convinced me. She sent me a text message the night before she was murdered. It's actually the last one I got from her. It said, you have to be there. It won't be the same without you. And that kind of got to me. So I told her, I was like, okay, I'll do it for you.
Never would have thought that I would have been going to her funeral that next week instead of her wedding. Never would have thought it.
Late 2017, early 2018, James Addy and Molly Watson began planning a wedding, going to the recorder's office, getting a marriage license.
This one here is on the date of April 25th, 2018. James Aaron Addy, 51, to Molly Nicole Watson, 35. I'm Mark Price. I'm the Randolph County Recorder of Deeds in the county of Randolph in the state of Missouri.
As the county recorder, he is responsible for recording deeds, as well as recording marriage licenses. And he performed that ritual for James Addy and Molly Watson on April 25th, 2 days before her murder.
Security camera video actually shows Molly walking across the parking lot and coming into the building.
The cameras I got in the back of my office for security filmed all that.
Even on security cameras, Molly's bubbly personality is pretty obvious. She's smiling and laughing there, chatting with the guard. And you notice her phone? Apparently she always kept that close.
Molly Watson come in the door just shortly before 4 o'clock, and she said, I'm here to get a marriage license. And she was quite pleasant to talk to. We had a good time.
And you can see James there in his uniform, showing up late, hurrying inside.
And then Mr. Addy walked in the door, and he was not smiling. He was acting like this was not the place he wanted to be in. She reached right over to him and was touching his arm and stuff, and she would pat him on the back, and she would lean into him a little bit. He seemed perturbed with some of the things that I was asking him, like if he'd been married before and how it ended. He was just like, why do you need to know that?
Maybe Addy just didn't like admitting he'd already been married 4 times before. Or maybe he just didn't like the questions about his marriage to Melanie Addy, which he tells the recorder had ended in divorce 6 months earlier.
The couple leaves the recorder's office holding hands.
That's just tough. It really is, because she was a sweet girl. A lot of things happened after that. I don't want to cry.
Judging by their text messages, it appears Molly Watson, the soon-to-be 5th wife of James Addy, is beginning to question just how committed this guy really is.
Are you still sure you want to marry me with my anxiety?
Just days before the wedding, Molly is expressing real concern that James is getting cold feet.
Yes, dear. Why would you ask something like that?
Because when you were talking earlier, you sounded like you were starting to doubt your decision.
Not even close, dear.
James is trying his best to reassure Molly that he is all in.
Are you changing your mind?
Not at all.
Then what?
It worries me that you were changing yours.
I wasn't.
Good.
If you read the cards that James sent, this sounds like a man in love telling Molly, "You are truly the love of my life now and forever. You are my everything. I love you. I adore you." This does not sound like a guy who's nervous about getting married.
As Molly's building and getting ready for the wedding and the excitement is starting to take over, there's some horrible news.
James tells Molly his ex-wife, Melanie, has just died.
His ex-wife slash mother of his kids was in a car accident over the holidays. And she had just passed away from the injuries.
Molly was told by Jim that she was on life support for a bit, and eventually we had to pull the plug on her. We had to let her go.
This is such tragic news. And of course, it could not have happened at a worse time, just as Molly is putting the final touches on her day, her wedding day. Boom, this happens, everything is thrown into chaos.
Bride-to-be Molly Watson has her wedding to James Addy all arranged. She booked the location, she bought the centerpieces, she even hired hair and makeup. But you know what they say about best laid plans?
The big day is right around the corner, but there are so many hitches in the wedding plans.
The plan was that she had a stepdaughter who she was planning to do hair and makeup on. Then she said that, but I'll let you know when we get closer to the time because she's not sure if she really wants to be in the wedding.
Hi, Crystal. This is Molly Watson. The work's just been kind of crazy trying to get ready for the wedding.
There's some last-minute changes. James and Molly cut their guest list in half, and Molly leaves a voicemail saying James's daughter Emma won't be in the wedding party after all.
I did also want to let you know that it is just going to be me getting hair and makeup done. My soon-to-be stepdaughter has decided she and a friend are going to do each other's hair and makeup, and so we're just going to go that route.
We're like, oh, yeah, no big deal. So I didn't really think anything of it.
James had told Molly, who told me, that his ex-wife was involved in December in a really bad car wreck and that she was on life support. And they didn't think she was going to make it.
With every wedding, we do a final walkthrough and detailing meeting. However, when I was reaching out to Molly to try to get that meeting scheduled, she had mentioned that James's ex-wife had passed away from a car accident over the holidays.
And a couple of weeks before Molly's death, she had actually told me that they had went in and pulled the plug on her and she passed away.
Now this is April we're talking, and she had just passed away from the injuries. So he had to go and do funeral stuff with his kids when we were trying to meet.
On the day that Molly Watson was murdered, James Addy had dropped off centerpieces or decorations for the wedding planner and had made a payment on the wedding.
He seemed just like he did in every other meeting that I met him. So this was probably the second or third time I've met him in person. Again, really quiet, didn't say much. He brought in the decor, and me being a bubbly event coordinator trying to get people amped for their big day, I'm being enthusiastic. And I do recall as I was walking him out the door, I asked if he's getting excited, and his one comment was that she was driving him crazy.
Mr. Addy made a statement that Molly Watson was driving him crazy.
Deputies say they found a woman's body in the area of Highway 151 and Route M Friday night.
I was at home watching TV, and their pictures come up on the screen and that she was dead.
It has been identified as 35-year-old Molly Watson from Huntsville.
And I went, oh my gosh, and I hollered at my wife. I said, Carla, I think I was the one that sold them the marriage license just earlier this week.
The investigation is sort of launched throughout that night with the Missouri Highway Patrol going out there, looking at this.
Now police get their first big break in this investigation. And that's thanks to the guy in the pickup truck, Glenn McSparron.
It was pitch black that night. It was very dark.
Glenn McSparron was taking a shortcut that night to and from his mother's home and discovered Molly's body on the way back from his mother's.
However, we also found out that that was not the first time he had been through the water crossing that night.
About 30 minutes before he discovers the body of Molly Watson, he's driving down this same desolate dirt road in Monroe County, Missouri.
Earlier in the night, he was taking his daughter over to his mother's home and actually encountered that scene from the opposite direction.
And he saw a car come up and kind of cut him off, put their headlights right into his view.
I started to see that there was lights down here. And once I got a little bit closer, I could see that there was a car, and I thought that they wanted past me, so I pulled over to the side of the road. Then I could see another car parked over on the right, facing away from me.
At first I thought somebody was stuck because like the car with the lights on facing us, it looked almost like it was spinning and like the front end was kind of sliding back and forth.
He said he saw a short white guy driving the car.
An older white male in a big grandma car.
Glenn McSparron described the car with the older white man as an old grandma car.
Then all of a sudden he pulled up down closer to us. I rolled my window down just a little bit and I stuck my head over next to it, and right about then the guy got out and come to the end of his door. And I couldn't hardly see him because of all the glare. And I just kind of turned my head towards the window and I said, "Hey, is somebody stuck down there?" And how did he say that? He said, "I don't know where they're at. It's going to be a while."
Glenn McSparron had a brief verbal exchange with this older white male, and the other individual indicated that Glenn needed to go around a different way.
So I just backed my truck up a little bit and went back to the west. The more I thought about it, I was like, something's not right. And I talked to my mom and my brother for a minute, and I told them, I said, "I'm gonna go back through there."
And that's when he finds Molly Watson at the scene dead. Calls the police.
In the hours after finding Molly, police searching in the dark find her purse and her other belongings. But they soon realize that something very important is missing from this crime scene. Something that really should be there.
We all know that technology plays a big part of solving murder cases now. But at this point, police in this case don't have Molly's cell phone.
Molly Watson's cell phone was not found at the scene of her murder.
Investigators will set out to find Molly's phone. Before the sun comes up, another important discovery comes to light.
This discovery is pretty amazing. I mean, the deputy was not out searching for evidence. He was driving back to the crime scene in the dark. He's got the good sense to pick it up, and boy, is it going to turn out to be important.
The crime scene is in the middle of nowhere in Monroe County, Missouri.
It's remote. I mean, it's really grown up. You're driving in between trees and horseweeds down to the creek.
So this is a low water crossing. You can kind of see the roadway on the other side.
It is an unpaved gravel road.
It's a low water crossing, so it's muddy at points.
At this muddy crime scene, right where that witness says he saw a man driving what he called a grandma car, investigators find remarkably well-preserved tire tracks.
There were tire impressions which were along the edge of the road.
There was an embankment, and there appeared to be markings that looked like two O's.
what appeared to be lettering from the sidewall of the tire. There were what appeared to be double O's. I think everybody looking thought that it was probably a Goodyear tire.
They also located a tire print just feet from Molly's body. The Missouri State Highway Patrol created a cast of a tire print in the mud near Molly's body. They did that with the hopes that in the future they'd be able to compare it to other tires.
And they take some of this evidence from the tire track in the mud in order to analyze this tire track. Could we match what we found here to any particular tire?
Authorities are working hard to try to figure out who in the world would have a reason to want to end the life of this friendly, happy young woman.
When they searched Molly Watson's belongings in her car, they did locate cash still in her purse.
She was wearing what appeared to be a diamond solitaire engagement ring on her left hand,
indicating that the motive might not have been robbery.
So if it's not robbery, what is the motive? Could Molly herself have left a clue on Facebook?
In a Facebook post that happened about a year before her death, Molly complains about an ex, but she doesn't say who it is. She says they were trying to access her bank accounts.
Let me read the post to you. I suspect it was the unstable individual who attempted to intimidate me with their service weapon by pointing it at me and threatening me when I left the relationship.
I have no idea who had threatened her. I had never, ever, ever threatened her.
Amber denies meddling with any of Molly's bank accounts. And keep in mind, she wasn't Molly's only ex. James and Molly had an on-again, off-again relationship. There were other people in the picture as well.
This is definitely not normal. This is not something we get in Monroe County very often. Murders, we don't get very often.
Brandon Osborne was a sheriff's deputy with the Monroe County Sheriff's Office at the time that Molly Watson's body was found.
He needed to return to the sheriff's office quickly.
On his way back to the crime scene, Brandon Osborne located a t-shirt in the middle of Route M.
I came upon this shirt laying in the road, went around the shirt and past it, and then I stopped and I'm thinking, we're kind of close to the crime scene here. I probably better pick that up just in case.
This discovery is pretty amazing. I mean, the deputy was not out searching for evidence. He was driving back to the crime scene in the dark. He spots the t-shirt, he's got the good sense to pick it up, and boy, is it going to turn out to be important.
That t-shirt, we later learned, had gunshot residue on it, had Molly Watson's blood.
We can infer that that was at the scene at some point of Molly Watson's murder, given the presence of that gunshot residue and her blood on the t-shirt.
It turned out to be a very important piece of evidence.
Meantime, there's an autopsy.
It revealed that Molly Watson died of a single gunshot wound to the back of the head, that the trigger was pulled when the gun was flush against Molly's head, and that it was a small caliber weapon that was used to kill her.
The medical examiner is able to extract a bullet from the body of Molly. The problem is this bullet is crushed beyond recognition. That's not what police want to hear when they're building a case against a suspect.
Prosecutors were not able to identify a murder weapon because the bullet that they found was too damaged to be able to match it up with any particular firearm.
All we can say about the projectile is that it would be consistent with a small caliber ammunition.
A .22 would be considered a small caliber firearm, along with several other calibers.
Investigators are searching, and on a road leading away from the scene, County Road M, they find evidence.
Along Route M, there were a couple of items of evidence that were located, including an ammunition box.
It was an empty .22 caliber ammunition box.
The investigators are gathering that evidence to examine later, but right now in the middle of the night, there's something they've got to do right away. They've got to break the bad news to Molly's fiance, James Addy.
At that point, wanted to make a notification to him that there'd been an incident involving Molly.
The Highway Patrol trooper does one of the more unfortunate parts of a law enforcement officer's job, to go notify somebody that their loved one is dead.
So they went to his house
That evening,
And they're expecting that he's going to be devastated, that they found the body of his fiancée.
What they didn't realize is that the shocking news that was going to be delivered to them would change this investigation immediately.
A bright light is about to illuminate the secret life of James Addy. What has he been hiding?
This is an unbelievable story. This is a story about a double life.
Those lives were set on a collision course when he and Molly Watson began planning a wedding.
Molly apparently is head over heels for James Addy.
She was all about him. This is what she's always been looking for.
He had told Molly that his wife died in a terrible accident.
2 days before this long-awaited marriage,
oh my God,
Molly's found murdered.
It just built and built and built.
and somebody was living with a lot of secrets.
A man driving along a back road in rural Missouri makes a stunning discovery. The body of a woman. So he calls the police.
Is it Molly Watson? Okay.
The investigators working this crime scene discover that the victim, Molly Watson, has a fiancé. His name is James Addy.
He was supposed to marry Molly in like 2 days.
The Highway Patrol trooper does a sort of unfortunate part of a law enforcement officer's job to go notify somebody that their loved one is dead.
So Sheriff Colston, along with a couple of members of the Missouri State Highway Patrol, went from the crime scene to James Addy's home.
Molly Watson was basically murdered at the midway point between James Addy's home and her home.
So they go to his house outside of Mexico, Missouri, which is, let's say, 25 miles away.
It's very late, the point that we're getting to his house, right around 2 in the morning. Went to knock on the door.
And that door was answered by James Addy. He's wearing a bathrobe.
As investigators go to deliver what they believe is going to be shocking news to James Addy, they had no idea that the shocking news was going to be delivered to them.
While the trooper is there in the home, he makes a startling discovery. There's another woman in James Addy's house. She asks the trooper, "What are you doing here?" And I imagine the trooper probably felt much of the same thing. What are you doing here?
The answer's not just a complete surprise, it's a shock. It turns out the woman who was there is James Addy's wife, Melanie Addy. She had not only been married to James for more than 20 years, but she's the mom of their 2 children, including a teenage girl named Emma, who is upstairs, asleep in her own bed.
Now, this is a stunning moment, since Addy had told Molly his ex-wife was dead.
We definitely were not expecting for there to be a wife present.
She's his wife? The guy's living a complete double life. What is going on here?
It was kind of like he was stuck between a rock and a hard place. He was realizing that I've already been married for years. I have 2 kids with this woman, but I also have this whole other life. He knew that in 2 days, all of that was going to collide.
This is a huge predicament for him. How do you keep both of these lives going?
Molly knew he was married. He had told her, and she told me all this. She's like, he has a wife, he plans on leaving her once their daughter graduates high school.
Why would you ask someone to marry you if you're already married?
Right.
You know, just continue on the way you were.
Turns out Melanie Addy is James Addy's 4th wife, so that would mean Molly would have been his 5th marriage. But it's really unclear how those previous marriages ended.
We tried to find those previous ex-wives, but no one we interviewed for this story knew any details.
The wife, she denies any knowledge of the affair. I don't think that she knew.
I guess Melanie asked who Molly Watson was, and he had to confess, yeah, it's my lover.
James Addy was interviewed apart from the other members of the home.
He admits that he was cheating on Melanie with Molly, and that, yes, they had been engaged to be married.
He admits early on that he had done something he should have in terms of an affair. He never said he killed anyone.
Mr. Addy became visibly hot and uncomfortable during that interview. So hot and uncomfortable that he actually walked over to his window, opened it, and put a box fan there to blow the cool air in.
At first, Addy offers up an explanation of what he had been doing that night.
James Addy said he was going to see a friend that night at 7 o'clock.
He says that he was going to pick up an avocado plant. He says that he got back home around 8:30 that night.
But Addy also admits something else to police. He tells them that he had been talking to Molly earlier that night using a phone that he kept hidden from his wife.
There was essentially a secret phone or a private phone that he only used to communicate with Molly Watson.
It was a purple cell phone that he went out and grabbed and gave it to investigators, said this is what I used to communicate, and boy did he communicate.
James Addy admits to talking to Molly Watson every single day and volunteered that the last time he had spoken with Molly Watson was earlier in that evening, and showed the police a screenshot of a 22-minute phone call from her to him.
He did not indicate that she was driving or what she was doing during the period of that phone call.
James Addy texted Molly Watson after she was dead. These texts were like maybe a caring fiance would send.
What did you eat for supper? I love you so much.
And finally, when he has no response, he says something like, "Night, night, sweetheart, I'll talk to you tomorrow."
For police, everything has changed since that very first moment that they walked into the Addy's house. This man has a wife. He was sweating in the interview. He's got phone and text messages that seem ever so suspicious. So for police, there's plenty. What do? They arrest him. They charge him with first-degree murder.
Now the trick is building a case.
You doing all right, sir? Okay.
Not really.
I got a call from our sister Heather, and she told me Jim's been arrested for murder. And I'm like, no, I didn't believe it. There hasn't been a moment yet that I have thought that Jim killed Molly.
And what did Melanie, James Addy's wife, think? I couldn't believe what she had to say about this incredible double life.
He might have tried to kill you.
All right, here we go. I'm here with Joe Diaz on our way to Monroe County to interview Melanie Addy about this stunning story. When I look back on that drive, there was a lot of anticipation. This was going to be one of the more unusual interviews I'd done. How did you even learn about this story, Joe?
I heard about this trial and was immediately, fascinated by how this man lived a double life.
We were about to interview Melanie Addy, the actual wife of James Addy, the man who was now accused of murder. Melanie, first of all, I want to thank you for doing this, because I know you've not done this before.
No, I haven't.
You said that you feel kind of emotional.
I do, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything that takes you back there is hard.
It had been 3 years since Melanie learned the truth, but her emotions were still just under the surface as we went back to the beginning of her story.
That's me.
Oh, my
Jim.
God. Tell me about meeting James Addy.
I was working at a convenience store, and he was a customer. He came in a lot and finally asked me out.
And once you two hit it off, did he pop the question pretty soon?
Very quickly, maybe 6 months.
That's the wedding photo.
Wedding.
You look so young, both of you.
We didn't have a lot of money, and we had Ben on the way very quickly.
When Ben came into the picture, man, I remember going up to their house. It was always fun. So happy.
A few years later, Emma comes along. So your family is growing.
It was exactly what we wanted. We had these 2 great kids. I was a stay-at-home mom. He went to work. It was a very traditional way to do things. I thought it was very good.
I love that picture, yeah. All of us together at Christmas time.
As the years went on, Melanie admits there were problems in the marriage. There were arguments about money. James clashed with their teen son. But she says she felt her husband was dedicated to his family and very loyal. And she never suspected that he was having an affair. Did you get any sense of whether he was contented and happy in the marriage?
He seemed the same all the time.
Melanie did admit that the marriage had its ups and downs, but in her mind, they had always been able to work through whatever the issues were. This was her reality. Everything was the same, but the fact is, it wasn't. James Addy was in a completely different place.
He was over it. He was done. He didn't love her anymore.
James Addy, for the past 7 years, had been living 2 lives.
How was he able to separate both of these lives?
He's a very good liar.
At one point, he takes a trip to Florida on his own. What was that trip about?
He told me it was a trip related to his work, where they were doing some training.
He took the extra step and printed out what looked like a business letter, made it look official that that's what he was doing, but he was taking the trip to Florida with Molly.
Another time he takes a trip to Mexico.
Right.
With friends.
I never really knew his work friends. Seems plausible.
As I talked to Melanie, knowing where this was going, it was hard not to be a little incredulous. But no matter what I asked, she was consistent. She said she did not know the truth about what was going on.
He would get off work at 3, and usually he would get home at 5. And I would say, well, why are you always so late? And that would be an argument. He didn't want to tell me anything.
Any suspicions?
Not about an affair, no.
No suspicions about an affair meant no suspicions about what was going to happen on April 27, 2018, the night Molly Watson was killed.
So let's go back then to April 27, 2018. Any strange behavior on his part?
No, not at all. Nothing. He just seemed like he always did. About 7 o'clock, he came in to the living room where I was and said he was going to a friend's house.
Did it strike you as unusual or odd?
I remember being irritated that I wanted him to just be home, and he had a hard time staying home.
Do you remember when he came home?
I was asleep.
Melanie says that Emma stayed up long after she had gone to bed. And whatever time James Addy got home, well, Melanie says that she woke up at 2 in the morning to the sound of his snoring. And she says she did what she normally does, move to the couch in the living room.
What next?
About 2:30, I think, I saw police car lights out my window. It was very strange to see that. I didn't know what was happening.
She wasn't ready for everything that was about to come. She wasn't prepared that he had this whole other life that was happening without her.
The police tell you
yes,
that your husband has a dead fiance?
Yes.
And he's engaged to the woman?
Yeah.
And you're learning all of this in one night?
Immediately, yeah.
And you've been married for
23 years.
What did you think?
I can't even tell you. It was just mind-boggling. It made no sense at all. None.
Were you angry? Were you hurt? What were you feeling?
Probably just disbelief in the beginning. It didn't seem right. This was not my life.
Did you think that your husband was capable of murder?
Yes. It just seemed like something he would do to fix a problem. He was a pretty selfish person. He could be controlling and intimidating, and it could be challenging. I could see this being a way out for him.
Melanie Addy begins searching her house. She searches a loft-type area above the garage, which she rarely went into, and found a photo album.
She finds several photos of Jim and Molly together on trips to Cancun, of them together, smiling, a happy couple.
She found the photos of them in Florida on this trip that she had thought was a harmless business trip for him to go on, that he was actually there with his fiancée, getting ready to get married.
Were you asking yourself, how could I have missed this?
Oh, absolutely, every day. Every day. How do you not see this? I guess because I wasn't supposed to see it.
So he's under arrest, he's in jail.
Yes.
Do you go visit him?
The following week, we were both in tears. Both in tears.
What is he saying to you?
That he's sorry. He's very sorry for the affair, but he insists that he was not the killer, that he is not responsible for this.
Was there a part of you that felt for him on any level?
Absolutely, because I felt like, oh, I have to take care of him. This is what we do. We take care of each other.
Did you look at him suddenly as a stranger, as somebody you didn't know?
I looked at him as someone I didn't want back.
What would become of James Addy? If there's one piece of smoking gun evidence in this case, prosecutors say it's not a gun, it's a cell phone.
Like they say, deceased person doesn't speak, but it's almost like Molly was speaking from the grave. This is an unbelievable story. This is a story about a man who was living a double life.
Those lives were set on a collision course when he and Molly Watson began planning a wedding.
Just built and built and built to the point where the guy with 2 lives was about to have 2 wives, and he had to make a choice.
And when that wedding was less than 48 hours away,
2 days before this long-awaited marriage,
oh my God,
she's found murdered.
Dead.
A trial has started for a mid-Missouri man accused of killing his fiancée.
James Addy is accused of killing his fiancée, Molly Watson.
James Addy, the former prison guard, has himself been under guard, locked up in county jail for 3 years until his trial begins.
A female appeared out of a side room, caught me completely off guard.
The lead investigator, Bradley Ream, takes the stand.
I asked her who she was. She replied, I am his wife.
He testifies about that jaw-dropping moment at the Addy home when they find out that James Addy is already married and his supposedly dead ex-wife, Melanie, is still very much alive. She's standing right there.
I was like, whoa. I was wondering what was going on. And he told me that I got myself involved in something I shouldn't have.
When you first went to the water crossing the first time, was there another car present?
Yes, there was. We came upon a pair of headlights down by the creek, and then I could tell there was another car facing away from me.
Glenn McSparron testifies about seeing that older white man at the crime scene, but in a blow to the prosecution, he cannot identify James Addy as the man he saw.
I couldn't get a really 100% clear look at him.
I just couldn't get a good enough eyeball on him to tell for certain, hey, yeah, that's the guy. I wish I would have. It would have made everybody's life a lot easier.
But McSparron's description of the car that man was driving, that old grandma car, police say that matches Addy's car, and then they take a good look at the tires.
Prosecutors say one of the tires on Addy's car, a Goodyear tire, is just the kind that could leave a 00 impression, like the one found near Molly Watson's body.
It wasn't just that 00 print from the side of the Goodyear tire. Officers have something more. What prosecutors call a perfect tire print in the mud, just a few feet from Molly's body.
A state crime lab expert testifies that he compared the right rear tire on Addie's car to a cast that was made of the track that was found at the scene of the crime next to Molly's body.
And what conclusion did you draw, if any, about the tire and the cast?
My conclusion was that particular tire made that particular impression.
Prosecutors are convinced that this tire track matches Addie's car. The defense is saying, not so fast.
All right, I'd like to talk to you about this comparison that we just had that states
there is no widely accepted scientific principle behind an examiner looking at one tire and looking at a cast and saying they look the same to me.
State's Exhibit 67. Could you explain to the jury what they're looking at here?
That is an empty ammo box of .22 caliber.
A prosecution witness testifies bullets found in a .22 caliber rifle found in James Addie's home are consistent with Thunderbolt ammunition, the kind that came in the empty ammo box they found. Even so, that doesn't prove that that's the murder weapon.
Prosecutors call a long parade of highway patrol investigators and criminalists, and then they introduce a key item of evidence.
Prosecutors say it's not a gun, it's a cell phone, also found out on the side of the road.
We utilized a cell site simulator, and we were able to locate her phone.
Molly Watson's cell phone was a vital link in the chain of evidence for prosecutors. Like they say, deceased person doesn't speak, but it's almost like Molly was speaking from the grave.
Information from her cell phone did tell us that she had driven from her home to this location while she was on the phone with James Addie.
Investigators are poring over all these text messages between James and Molly, and what they're hoping to do is reconstruct the events leading up to her killing. And maybe they'll find even a triggering moment that caused it to happen.
And investigators say there's a reference to that story about Addie's wife dying after a car crash.
Prosecutors say Addie texted Molly that his ex-wife's funeral was happening the day before their wedding.
The funeral is tomorrow.
I'm sorry, sweetness. I love you so, so much.
Why would James Addie lie? I mean, why tell Molly his ex-wife Melanie was dead? Some speculate he hoped the story about the car crash would cause Molly to postpone the wedding and the collision of his two lives. But instead, it may have sped up his day of reckoning.
Molly, at a certain point, did try to look into this and question this, according to some of the things brought up in court.
Forensic searches of Molly's phones indicated that the day before she was murdered, she was looking for Melanie Addie's obituary.
What is the general theme of these searches?
Searching for obituary or death notices for Melanie Addie.
Was obviously unable to find an obituary for Melanie Addie.
Prosecutors make sure to point out the significance of these searches the day before the murder. They argue a theory that Molly has figured out she's been fed a pack of lies. James's wife isn't dead. He's not free to marry. This guy's a con man. So perhaps Molly confronted James, and he decides, well, I'm just going to end it with a gun.
Did James Addie have a plan to see Molly that night?
As stated here in the exhibit, the text message says, "I think I'm going to see you tonight." And that was sent from James's purple phone to Molly.
He knew. He knew what was going to happen. He knew how that day was going to end. Earlier in the evening of April 27th, before James Addie departed his home, he had sent text messages from himself to himself.
Have a meeting tonight at 8, normal place. You have to be there.
James Addie seems to be almost firing himself up to do something drastic.
Don't be a again. Let's go, man.
It was as if one part of him was telling the other to, come on, we can do this. Let's go.
Trying to psych himself up for something. Obviously now we know what it is. Don't be a man. Let's go, man. He's talking himself into it. He's getting himself ready.
As the trial is getting underway, what could have or would have been James Addie's closest allies as a criminal defendant, his wife and his daughter, are now actually going to take the stand against him.
Were you aware that you were on a guest list to attend your dad's wedding? want to talk specifically right now about the evidence of April 27th, 2018. Molly's last night alive.
She was home just hanging out at her house when James Addy, her fiance, called her and said something to her that prompted her to leave the house.
Grabbed her slippers, threw them on, grabbed her coat and threw it on, and told my mom and dad, you know, I'm gonna meet James here in a little bit, I'll be right back. And out the door she went.
Molly was lured to this Monroe County road. A 22-minute phone call and a 22-minute drive to her death. The defendant's on the phone with her when she walks out her door. He's on the phone with her the entire drive.
For the next 30 minutes or so, police say that Addie's phones, both of them, are silent. No calls, no texting.
That is when he killed Molly Watson. Will you please state your name and spell it for the court reporter?
Emma Addy, E-M-M-A-A-D-D-I-E.
The most emotion that we saw out of James Addy was when Emma took the stand. James Addy was in tears.
The evidence at trial showed that Emma Addy had actually met Molly Watson previously.
James's daughter, Emma, needed a costume.
And Dad said that he knew somebody who did that kind of thing. And that person was Molly, and he took me to go meet her, and she made a costume for me.
James had introduced Molly as a friend from work.
What was James Addy thinking? Introducing this secret girlfriend to his own daughter, and of course, the daughter has no clue what she means to him. I mean, why? Why would he do this?
Did you know about his relationship with Molly?
No.
She articulated to the jury what she saw and heard and remembered from that night.
I was still up doing homework at around 10 p.m. And that's around the time that Dad came home.
Specifically that he got home at 10 o'clock, not 8:30.
On cross-examination, the defense really tries to create some doubt with timing as to when James Addy actually got home. Even though Emma says it was 10 o'clock, maybe he had gotten home earlier. Maybe he was in the garage working on his car. Maybe she didn't know.
You'd agree with me that back in this time frame that your dad would frequently be in the garage, correct?
Yes.
Emma's most damaging testimony may be about that bloody T-shirt. Remember the one that was found in the road near the crime scene?
The T-shirt becomes so important to this case because it's a one-of-a-kind T-shirt. And here's the kicker. It was made by James Addy's daughter, Emma.
Do you recognize that shirt?
Yes.
Right. How do you recognize that shirt?
She was able to identify it because she made it as a part of one of her classes. And so she was able to affirmatively say, that is the T-shirt that I made.
Okay, I know that's my shirt.
She gave it to her father.
I brought them home that day after the contest, and Dad said that he would take one to the garage just to use as rags.
The defense offers the jury an explanation for why that T-shirt was found near the crime scene. He suggests that perhaps James Addy had given it to Molly.
Is it so implausible that one fiance has a shirt that belonged to their fiance?
As far as your marriage with James Addy, can you describe it for the jury?
Testifying next, the woman James Addy allegedly claimed was dead, his now ex-wife, Melanie Addy.
It was good sometimes, it was bad sometimes. I thought we both tried to make it work.
You were called to testify.
Mm-hmm.
How hard was that?
It's horrible. It's just horrible. You don't want to be there. I don't want to be in a position where I'm hurting him. I don't want to do that.
So in April of 2018, were you still married to Mr. Addy and living in that same home?
Yes.
Did you have any plans to divorce at that point?
No.
After 23 years of marriage, Melanie Addy had divorced James for real soon after his arrest.
Within a few weeks, you filed for divorce.
Oh, yes. He'd always been very hard on me about you know, how a wife should act and how a wife should be. And then he did this. He had an affair, and that's okay. No, we were done. We were done.
James Addy didn't react to his ex-wife taking the stand, but everybody else did. Anybody watching was riveted.
I'm going to take you back specifically to April 27th of 2018. Do you remember that day?
Yes.
James Addy indicated to law enforcement that he was wearing certain clothing that night.
Tells them boots and a pair of gym shorts. However, later conversations with Melanie Addy reveal that those were not the clothes that he was wearing.
Do you remember what he was wearing when he left?
Blue jeans, a black jacket, and boots.
Blue jeans, boots, and a dark black colored jacket.
That jacket was never recovered during a search of the Addy home.
Prosecutors also ask Melanie about that outrageous story, the one they say James told Molly, that Melanie was dead.
Were you in a horrible car crash in October of 2017 around Christmas or New Year's?
No.
And is it fair to say you did not pass away in April of 2018?
That's correct.
As the murder trial speeds along, a defense strategy catches some courtroom observers by surprise, and the jury delivers a verdict.
All right, then. My understanding the jury has reached a verdict. Do I have a foreperson? Yes, sir.
When the jury walked in, like 5 of the jury members looked at us, like they glanced over, and I thought, okay, I don't know if it's a good sign or not.
My name is Richard Stewart Painter.
So back in April of 2018, you were in jail at that time, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
What's a case without a jailhouse snitch? But this trial had not one, but 2 inmates who took the stand to testify against James Addy.
Bryce Hendren and Richard Painter were 2 inmates in the Monroe County Jail at the time that James Addy was arrested and brought to detention there.
Did something happen while you were in the jail that concerned you?
Yes, it did.
They're all sitting together in a common room, watching television. It's just kind of shooting the breeze. And they asked Jim, well, what are you doing here?
A conversation about bond come up. And it was brought to our attention that his bond was $500,000. And that sparked our attention enough to wonder what he had done. And then the phrase was made, I put someone face down in a ditch.
The guy said he laid someone face down in a ditch. That was about it.
How the state interprets that was essentially Jim confessing to having done this, to having killed Molly.
Like most defense attorneys in cases where jailhouse snitches are used, this attorney wants to tear it apart on cross-examination.
Isn't it true that you actually aren't sure what you heard, right?
I was right beside him, and I can say 99% sure that that's what I heard him say.
You said that you gave a statement to law enforcement, right?
Yes.
Okay. And in that statement, right, you said, I'm not sure what I heard, right?
If that's what I said, then that's...
My name is Bradley Bream.
Samantha Cohen.
Nathan Schinkel.
Carl Christopher Stacy.
After calling nearly 20 witnesses over the course of 3 days, the state rests its case.
Thank you, sir. You may step down.
And now it's time for the defense to take its turn. All kinds of options here. They could introduce evidence, they could call witnesses, or they could put James Addy himself on the stand. Instead, they do none of the above.
James Addy does not testify. In fact, as sometimes happens, the defense calls no witnesses at all.
Not putting up a case for the defense is fairly common because the argument is it's the state's burden to prove something beyond a reasonable doubt.
And I am confident that you will return the verdicts of guilty.
Once my client puts a witness on the stand, now we're in competition for who is more likable, for who do we believe more? You lose the state's burden and you take on a burden yourself.
Your doubts are reasonable. Your doubts are reasonable because Jim did not kill Molly.
James Addy's defense team took the stance of the state is expecting you to connect the dots, and that's not your job as jurors.
Because the evidence will show that the state does not have proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
They attempted to raise enough reasonable doubt about the things that weren't there. There was no murder weapon. What would be the motive of a man in love killing his fiancée?
He was in love with Molly, was the defense, and he was having an affair, but that didn't necessarily mean that he was the killer.
Ladies and gentlemen, the defendant had a choice to make. And the evidence in this case shows us that this is the life he did not choose.
Closing arguments in this case ended up being on what would have been James and Molly's 3-year anniversary.
Molly Watson does not get to celebrate her 3-year wedding anniversary today, but you have the power to give her justice.
The most anticipated time for any jury trial is the reading of the verdict. Here, the jury deliberated about 2.5 hours the fate of James Addy and announced they had reached a unanimous decision.
All right then, my understanding the jury has reached a verdict. Do I have a foreperson? Yes, sir.
When the jury walked in, like 5 of the jury members looked at us. Like they glanced over and I thought, okay, I don't know if this is a good sign or not.
Verdict reads as follows. As to count 1, we, the jury, find the defendant, James Addy, guilty of murder in the first degree as submitted in instruction number 6.
The jury found James Addy guilty of first-degree murder in the death of Molly Watson and armed criminal action.
Oh, I was happy. I was so happy to hear that because my sister got justice, my mom and dad got justice.
Did you feel that your husband should have been found guilty of murder?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Is he a killer?
Apparently.
You asked me earlier what I was surprised at during the trial.
During the entire course of the trial, he failed to represent anything that I brought forward.
Up until this point, James Addy has fully exercised his right to remain silent throughout the trial, but now he's ready to open up and give the court his version of what he says really happened.
Jim took the opportunity to really lay out how he felt about this case.
There was no way that I could have done this crime.
And he's going to point to someone he says is the true killer.
Thank you, and have a seat.
We're here today on 18AC-CR01983, State versus James Addy. The matter comes on today for final disposition.
2 months after his conviction, James Addy is formally sentenced.
Mr. Addy, having been convicted by a jury of your peers of the charge of murder in the first degree, I hereby sentence you to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, that being the sentence mandated by law.
Once sentencing is over, the judge wants to hear from Addy.
Anyone expecting regrets or remorse is in for quite a surprise.
Normally, criminal defendants keep their mouths shut, they say yes when they're supposed to, and they move on their way to get their appeal going.
Addy has plenty to say, beginning by reading a love letter to the woman he's convicted of killing.
Molly is the love of my life.
Addy insists that Molly was the love of his life. He says he misses her terribly and would have done anything to keep her happy. Addy is now asking for a new trial. He's complaining to the judge that his defense counsel was ineffective.
During the entire course of the trial, he failed to represent anything that I brought forward.
Jim honestly let his defense attorney have it. He said that he did not think that TJ did a great job.
Can you give me an idea of what kind of stuff you wanted him to bring forward?
cell phone records, Facebook posts that were in discovery that showed motive that somebody else would.
Molly had an ex who, according to him, had stalked her, very much so had a motive to do harm to Molly as her wedding was approaching.
We reviewed all of the evidence collected during this investigation and presented the relevant admissible evidence at trial, and there was no evidence of any other person with a direct connection to Molly Watson's death.
That evidence pointed to one person, James Addy, who had the motive, means, and opportunity to take Molly Watson's life.
It was the sins of the heart, I would say. He should have been a man enough to just say, I did that, and I'm sorry. It's just terrible that damn it. I just wish he wouldn't have done that.
I would like to see him and ask him, what were you thinking? Why did you do this to us? Why did you do this to you?
You don't see yourself as a victim?
Not at all. Molly's the victim. She's not here. She lost her life.
It's so funny because here just a couple of days ago at work, I'm a mechanic and we have our bay doors open, and out of the blue, this balloon came right up to me and it says, "We love you, we miss you." And that was my mom, dad, and Molly telling me, "Hey, we're watching you." So it definitely felt good.
You just think of the lyrics of that song that Molly loved so much from the movie Tangled.
Bring back what once was mine, what once was mine.
Well, the search ramping up today for a Lake Forest teen who disappeared while visiting his family over the holidays.
Blaze Bernstein has been missing since Tuesday night. Police searching by ground with canines and by air with helicopters.
We're hoping that he's just incapacitated in need of some medical assistance.
Anyone with information should contact the Orange County Sheriff's Department. Blaze Bernstein.
Blaze Bernstein.
Blaze Bernstein.
What are your favorite pictures here?
The kids like to goof off a lot, and he would dress up. They loved to dress up. They loved to do puppet shows, and this is him in a school play when he was little. And we spent a lot of time at Disneyland, because it's right here in our backyard.
Oh, yeah.
That's us sitting there. It was a great day.
Memories of much happier times for parents. Gideon and Jeannie Bernstein married in 1992. They moved from Los Angeles to Orange County to raise a family. They have 3 kids. The youngest is daughter Bowie, Jay in the middle, and Blaze, the oldest.
We had a lot of fun raising the kids together. It was fun. And no one can take that away from us, so we still own that.
Blaze Bernstein grew up here in the city of Lake Forest. It's an upper middle class bedroom community about an hour south of Los Angeles, home to about 90,000 people.
Growing up in Lake Forest was really nice. It was kind of inland from the coast, like 30-minute drive from the beach.
It was actually a really quiet residential area. Houses were beautiful, a lot of families there.
When we wanted to start a family, we left Los Angeles with the idea that we'd be moving to a safe suburbia, one of the safest places in the country.
And by all accounts, Blaze is this bright, gifted teenager with a sharp wit and a warm heart.
I've known Blaze since we were babies. Blaze as a kid, besides being very high energy, he was really creative, he was very thoughtful.
Blaze was incredibly bright, curious. He was really a Renaissance young man. I mean, he was interested in everything.
Surrounded by family and friends, Blaze was bar mitzvahed in 2011. That's a Jewish celebration of adulthood on a boy's 13th birthday. It was an occasion especially meaningful to his grandmother.
I did know that his grandmother was from Romania and survived the Holocaust.
I really think that Blaze got it. He was proud to be a Jew, humanistic philosophy, caring about the world and understanding the world's only going to change if human beings change it.
But even though Blaze possessed that understanding, it offered no protection from becoming a target of frequent bullying.
Growing up in Lake Forest was not super easy for him. He was bullied every single day on the bus. He just wanted to get out of the public school system.
And it wasn't just the bullying. Even though Blaze is a good student, he longs for something more.
Go, man, go.
Something that challenged him, not just intellectually, but creatively. And he would find it at OSHA.
OSHA is the Orange County School of the Arts. It is a 7th through 12th charter art school.
In order to get into that school, you have to audition, and about 1 in 10 students who audition actually get into this school. So it's very competitive.
Blaze auditioned for OSHA. He was artistic in every single way possible. He was very creative.
His talents going in were performing arts and writing, and he wanted to move into the creative writing department.
We've had students who wound up professional actors, designers, the writers, the whole thing, musicians.
Among the more famous OSHA alumni are actors Pedro Pascal, class of 1993, who starred in the HBO hit The Last of Us, and Matthew Morrison, a 1997 graduate and star in Fox's popular TV series, Glee.
And I want you to listen very closely to the lyrics because I really mean what I'm singing.
Once Blaze got to OSHA, he felt like there was a community there for him. He had a lot of friends. He was very social.
I met Blaze when he was a senior in high school. He shared some of his writing with me, and I wrote a letter of advocacy for his application when he applied early decision to Penn because he was a brilliant writer.
Blaze's exceptional talents got him into the University of Pennsylvania, and he moved across the country to Philadelphia as a pre-med freshman in the class of 2020.
Was he homesick at the start?
I think that the first semester at school was difficult for him in terms of the social life there. He was used to being in a small school. Now he's a little fish in a big sea, and I think that he had to come to grips with that.
When I found out that he was going to an Ivy League, I was like, oh, that makes sense.
At Penn, Blaze got involved in Penn Appetit.
Penn Appetit is a student-run magazine for people who are interested in writing and also interested in food.
He knew that those would be his people.
Our photographer for Penn Appetit, he held a photo shoot where we dressed up in our chef's whites and aprons. We brought whisks and knives. We have photos of him, holding the whisk, being surprised. I mean, he was so helpful, and we're so fortunate to have these photos of him.
It was a Tuesday in January, and 19-year-old Blaze was home for winter break. He was in a really good place and looking forward to second semester of his sophomore year, but not before he treated his family to a special meal.
He was baking butternut squash with, sprigs of thyme that were inside them.
He made a turkey.
And he made a...
He took over my job, more or less. I was on vacation, and he was here.
So dinner broke up, I guess, absolutely normally.
It was a quiet night. Didn't hear anything unusual. I woke up the next day and it was a normal morning.
A normal day until it wasn't.
I got up and Blaze's door was closed, and the housekeeper said, "Oh, don't wake him, let him sleep in." And I said, okay. Well, I knew I had a dental appointment with him that day, so I decided I'd wait until my yoga class was over to try to contact him so I wouldn't wake him. And I tried getting hold of him, and he wasn't picking up, he wasn't returning my texts. But I went to the dental appointment thinking he would show up, and I immediately called Gideon, and I said he never showed up for his appointment. And he said, well, are you sure he slept at the house last night? And that's when
when we both kind of freaked out.
I yelled, oh my God.
19-year-old Blaze Bernstein was last seen Tuesday night.
We're hoping to find him and bring him home safely.
That's defense against the most awful.
When it became dark outside, I think that's when we started to really be super concerned.
One of the first things the Bernsteins thought of is using the Find My app, which allows users to share their location with others.
So did you have like a follow my friend on the iPhone?
Yes, we did. We had that, and I saw that the location services were turned off.
So we called the sheriff's department.
They came and they were really downplaying it, like, oh, you know, 19-year-olds, they run away sometimes, but they'll be back.
He was adamant that 100% of the time that these kids are out on a booty call or doing something with,
Of course, we explained that there were some, unique circumstances with regards to, his personal belongings still being here. And so they offered to do a missing persons report.
So a kid disappears without his glasses, his wallet, or his keys. There are people who actually told me about it just in the couple of days after he went missing, who suggested that maybe this was suicide. Did you ever contemplate that?
Never.
Not even close. He was so happy. He was in a great place.
He was in one of the best places I had ever seen him before. That week, he was so happy. He was so excited to go back to school. He was so excited to just have the rest of his life. And so at that point, there was no doubt in my mind, he would never have done that.
Gideon and Jeannie confirmed with Verizon that Blaze hadn't made any recent phone calls. A quick check of his computer revealed no exchanges on iMessage or Facebook DMs. And so with virtually no solid information to go on, the Bernsteins, along with help from their 14-year-old daughter, Bowie, began dipping deeper into Blaze's social media.
We would not have been able to figure it out without the help of kids his age that he grew up with. and our daughter, yes.
I told my parents, I'm like, I can try and help you find everything that you need. I'm really good with Snapchat. I knew the names of a lot of his friends, so I was able to text them and ask them if they knew what was going on.
And that's when the whole evening changed.
Yeah.
When they said, well, what about Snapchat? That's when the light bulb went on. I mean, we were exhausted, but I said, okay, let's try and figure out how to get in.
Snapchat is a free mobile messaging application used to share photos, videos, texts. But what's different about the app is that whatever is shared, including text messages, disappears from the recipient's screen after just a few seconds.
We were lucky because we knew his username because he was connected with our daughter. And the password ended up being one of the ones that we had on our iCloud keychain. So we typed the username, and then we tried that password in, and boom, we're in.
Still, getting into Blaze's Snapchat account was only half the battle. Yes, it might contain a critical record of who Blaze may have been in contact with the night he disappeared, but as the Bernsteins discovered, simply viewing the message might also trigger it to vanish.
At the time, Snapchat worked. If you sent a message, it could only be saved if you purposefully saved it, and it could be deleted by the person who sent it, and it only lasts 24 hours if you don't save it.
And there were so many other pitfalls with this. I mean, if you take a screenshot of these communications because you think you're saving them, well, that alerts the person that sent it to you.
The sender gets an alert.
So if you're dealing with a situation like this, you don't want the person who you're hunting to know that you're onto them.
What you're describing is basically dealing with this digital nitroglycerin that at any moment
absolutely
could just blow up in your faces. And this is the most important thing in your lives right now.
I had my daughter next to me, and I said, okay, I need you to save, because I know there's a way that you can save it, but I didn't really know how.
What time is it by now?
I don't know, it's close to 10 o'clock at night, 9:30, 10 o'clock. And we saw that Blaze gave our address out to somebody.
Did you know who?
We didn't know at the time who it was. We saw the name.
I had absolutely no idea who he was. I was so happy that there was somebody who we could talk to that could just help us find my brother.
Bernsteins didn't know the person Blaze sent his address to, but in the hours ahead, the discovery of that person's identity would turn the desperate search for their son upside down.
Hi, this is Blaze's dad. We really need to know what you know. We can't find him.
This is becoming an urgent issue with trying to figure out what really happened to him, and we're going to really need your help on this because you're the last person that probably saw him.
That was not the person that I really expected him to be with.
Who leaves their house without any of their items? at night and doesn't show back up again.
This isn't just anybody. This
Right.
is an Ivy League college student with his whole life in front of him,
Right.
with a beautiful life waiting for him.
Hours had passed since anyone had heard or seen Blaze. Did he run away? Was he injured? Had he been abducted? There was no sign of him anywhere. Now, as darkness fell, there was finally a glimmer of hope.
We wanted to make sure that if there was any chance that Blaze was still alive, that we took it. I wanted to ensure that not 1 second was wasted.
And the Bernsteins discovered something else. It was a final text message sent to Blaze at 3 p.m. from his best friend. "Hey, I'm really worried about you. Please text me." There was no reply. The Bernsteins frantically reached out to that best friend, who told them Blaze did exchange messages with someone else overnight. Now it seemed that person was their best hope of finding Blaze.
We don't know what the conversations were that led up to his disappearance, so we want that information.
Gideon Bernstein, through his own investigation, found out that there was communication on the Snapchat application. And so he was able to message through direct messaging Sam Woodward.
We didn't know who he was. I was like, oh, we should call him. Like, he definitely knows what's going on. And so I encouraged my dad to call him, and we recorded a call.
We haven't heard from him all day. He missed an appointment today, and then we started getting concerned, and I've been trying to figure things out. So you're the first real clue to the puzzle here.
Yeah, honestly, I'm sorry.
I don't know if my dad told me to record it or if I just had the thought that maybe having any sort of evidence that we could hold on to would be able to help us.
I don't mean to put any pressure on you. I know you're a nice young man, but I'm asking you for help on this if you can, if you've got the ability to do that.
Absolutely. This is, I want to find Blaze as much as you do.
During that call, Sam Woodward told Gideon that Blaze suggested they drive to a nearby park to meet yet another one of his friends, but never mentioned that friend by name.
And he said he invited a third friend to come along. So I said, okay.
I didn't want to speak because I didn't want to get involved, but I was listening and to my dad, just ask him questions and go back and forth.
And then did he get out of the car, or what happened?
Yeah, he got out of the car, and I got out of the car too, and I just asked him, who is this guy? And he's just like, you'll find out in a little bit, he's a friend of mine. And then, so I'm just like, okay, Blaze, and I just waited there by the bathroom, and I didn't see where he went.
I was just thinking to myself, this is maybe weirdest, situation that we could be in at this moment. And I remember that phone call went on for a while, too.
I guess I realized, did something happen to him? So I went back. I searched all over for him where I was at the library. I couldn't find him anywhere. And I guess I just figured he might just call me in the morning or just pranking me, but now I'm scared now.
It's a disturbing phone conversation, which now raises more questions for the Bernsteins than it answers.
We were curious to know who this person was, but then we did find out he was a student at OSHA.
20-year-old Sam Woodward and Blaze were former high school classmates at OSHA.
I have known Sam since he was born, kind of grew up alongside of him. I remember excitement, during Sam telling me that he was going to OSHA.
Woodward grew up only 30 minutes away in the wealthy coastal town of Newport Beach.
Sam was joyful. He was a really happy, special kid.
He lived in this house with his parents and a brother who by all accounts were devout Catholics and attended church regularly.
Everything we did, all the families we spent time with, were from our church.
I did teach Sam Woodward in acting for the camera in his 10th grade, and I had him for the one semester.
For 10 years, Phil Schwadron taught drama and directing for grades 9 through 11 at OSHA.
He was definitely serious. He didn't crack jokes, didn't laugh a lot, as to my memory.
Sam went to OSHA with me from 7th grade to 10th grade. I would say that he did not necessarily fit into the general OSHA artsy vibe.
We came back for what would have been Sam's 11th grade year, and I said, who have I got this year? And my boss said, yeah, you're going to get them all back except one left the school. Who left the school? Sam Woodward left the school.
I wasn't really surprised that he left. I kind of just thought that he left because he just didn't like it there.
After leaving OSHA, Sam enrolled in Corona Del Mar High School. During that time, he became an Eagle Scout, graduating in 2016. Now, 2 years later, nothing seemed to explain how or why this unlikely pair with seemingly nothing in common ended up together in this park. And now, one safely home, the other nowhere to be found. So now you have this critical piece of information.
Yeah.
Do we immediately call the sheriffs and say,
Yes.
we have something?
Yes, we did.
Yep, right away.
And what's their response?
They come over right away.
They came over.
Okay.
And now it was
And
serious.
We just gave them the lead of the last person we knew that he had seen.
I remember taking that call and showing the police, like, look what I have. We talked to somebody who said that they know where my brother is.
When I first saw the missing persons report and I was reading the details, some of those details definitely stuck out. So something told me just deep within me that this was unusual. So my then partner, investigator, Jack Ackerman, and I went to the park, probably right around lunchtime on January 4th.
I had a feeling as a mother, it was my intuition that something very bad had happened.
On January 3rd, 2018, the day Blaze Bernstein's family realized he was missing, Blaze's sister Bowie recorded a phone call between her father and 20-year-old Sam Woodward, a former high school classmate who says he was one of two people with Blaze the night he disappeared.
I'm sorry, Mr. Bernstein, but your guess is as good as mine.
Woodward said Blaze made plans for a third person to meet up with them in a neighborhood park that night.
Blaze didn't tell me anything about this guy except that he was from OSHA like us.
Really appreciate you calling me and sharing that info. And is it okay if I reach back out to you if I need some help?
Absolutely. I want to find Blaze as much as you do.
When they were talking about meeting another person, I was like, what other person? Who else would my brother, like, be with?
So you want a water? I got a water. What kind of monster you want?
The next day, Orange County Sheriff's investigators bring in Sam Woodward to ask some questions of their own.
You can leave at any time. You're not under arrest or anything like that, okay? We're just trying to find Blaze. Find Blaze. That's it.
As investigators get to know Sam Woodward, they learn that he was living with his parents and working odd jobs.
My goals in life are I just want to start a family. I just want to have enough money to support my kids. I just want to have a wife who loves me and get a good job and go to college.
Woodward says he recently reconnected with Blaze on social media.
He said something like, Sam Woodward. Now, that's a face I haven't seen in a while.
I'm looking for eye contact. I'm looking for his general comfortability to try to gain a sense whether somebody I feel is telling me the truth or telling me a lie.
At some point during the conversation on Snapchat, you decided to meet up. That is correct.
For Blaze's family, the fact that he went out at all that night was a revelation.
We had dinner actually at the dining room table with everybody. He was supposed to fly back to school. So it was going to be the last time my parents were going to see him for quite a while. There was no indication from him that he was going out that night.
During his interview with police, Woodward said that after he picked up Liz at his house, they drove around for a while, eventually stopping at Borrego Park.
Borrego Park is in the city of Lake Forest. It's a place where you can take your kids. It also has remote hiking trails that stretch for miles.
At some point, somebody exits the car, right?
Mm-hmm. Did he tell you where he was going? He said he was going to meet the friend that he was talking about.
Just like in that call with Blaze's father, Woodward told officers that Blaze was meeting another friend at the park that night. Woodward says he stayed behind as Blaze walked away and disappeared out of sight.
At one point, I heard voices raised in the distance somewhere, but I mean, that happens to my neighborhood all the time. You hear like girls screaming like, ah! And all that. And so I didn't really pay much mind to it.
But I wanted him to feel comfortable talking to me, and he was.
Woodward says he looked for Blaze, but eventually gave up and went home.
I mean, I don't know what happened to him, but something must have. All that matters is that we find him and we get him back to his family safe. Yeah, absolutely. Especially her talking to his parents, because his parents are really nice people.
After several hours of questioning, Sam Woodward left. But police, they remained suspicious, so they decided to put him under surveillance.
I'm trying to record it right now.
There was a large team that was deployed into the field, and we followed him anywhere that he went.
And with this growing cause of concern for Blaze Bernstein comes the glare of the media spotlight. The Blaze Bernstein missing persons case is now big news.
The Orange County Sheriff's Department searched the park, but they haven't seen any signs of Blaze.
Blaze was supposed to be in school this morning.
He was supposed to fly back Sunday, go to class today, but instead he's missing.
I remember going with my dog to Borrego Park before and kind of just like walking around to see like, what if I find him here?
Bowie documented that desperate period of time with pictures and videos posted on her Snapchat.
Our congregation went into high gear. We printed flyers with his name and picture and the facts and who to call, and we put them up on bulletin boards and poles all around the city.
At this point, it's now in the hands of the police. But you continue to work.
Yes.
Now you take to social media.
Around the clock. You know, it looked like war games in this house. We had terminals all over the dining room table, and we were all just working.
There was an immediate firestorm of attention to this case. We were absolutely inundated with tips from the public. There were hundreds within the first week, and then that grew exponentially.
Some of our contacts were friends with some of the celebrities that were willing to post it on their social media. And so we had the missing persons flyer out for Blaze on, Kobe Bryant's Facebook page, and Charlie Puth, who put it out there, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So it started to catch a lot of attention.
We were spending every minute talking about it. People were filming in our house, interviewing my parents. Nothing like this ever happened where we were.
Any sign of him, any clothing, obviously him. We're hoping to find him, hoping that he's just incapacitated and in need of some medical assistance so that we can get him and bring him home safely.
There was like this team of people with drones, and they were going throughout Whiting Ranch Wilderness Park, where we were concerned maybe my brother was back there, and maybe there was a mountain lion, or maybe like something happened to him and he was missing or lost.
For the fourth night in a row, the Bernstein family will go to sleep without their oldest son at home.
It was clear as the week wore on that it was more and more dire.
There's a lot of pressure, immense pressure to perform.
Then, on January 9th, with Blaze missing for 7 days now, a discovery which upends the case.
Jack and I were teamed up. Jack said, "Dylan."
You heard it in his voice.
I could hear it in his voice.
We're going to turn now to those new developments in the mysterious disappearance of an Ivy League student.
19-year-old Blaze Bernstein missing while home for winter break.
The sheriff's department launched an extensive search with help from the community.
Days had passed since Blaze vanished into the night. The relentless search by police and volunteers had turned up nothing, just more anguish for the Bernsteins and frustration for authorities.
The Orange County Sheriff's Department searched the park, but they haven't seen any signs of Blaze.
We utilized cadaver dogs. We utilized drones. We had been to Borrego Park and searched that park over and over again with a fine-tooth comb.
On January 9th, a week after Blaze went missing, investigators decided to go back to Borrego Park one more time after obtaining cell phone data showing Blaze and Sam Woodward were there together.
And this is a week after Blaze went missing.
Yeah, it led us to this particular area when all of a sudden Blaze Bernstein's phone at that point in time turned off.
So they'd been together, and suddenly Blaze goes dark.
Blaze goes dark, and then Sam Woodward's phone continues. There was a torrential downpour. It was cold, it was raining, everything was wet, everything was muddy. We searched all this area until my partner, Jack, and I came to this area right here.
I saw a spot that looked unusual. So I walked down. There was a large tree branch covering an area that looked a little odd, like the rain had kind of settled some dirt around something. I moved the tree branch, and you could see the left hip and upper left leg area of a human body.
And you knew?
Knew.
Had to be him.
Instantly, in my gut, without even seeing the face. And I knew that it was Blaze Bernstein.
They must have found his cell phone as well.
We located a broken cell phone about probably 6 inches, 8 inches below where the body was found.
I was sitting in my English class in 8th grade, and the teacher got a call, and he was like, "Bowie, you're gonna go to the office, they need you for something." And I was like, "Oh, good, maybe some good news." And they took me into this room, and I saw my godmother. She was crying, and I looked at her, and she just hugged me, and she said, "They found him, he is dead. Blaze is gone."
To the index in the body of a college student found in Lake Forest, California. Blaze Bernstein had disappeared 1 week ago. The case now a homicide.
That was the end of hope for me.
We started off this journey over a week ago, looking for our son and asking for everyone to help us find Blaze Bernstein. And we just have learned that they have positively identified our son Blaze's body today.
I just felt so...
The specific details of what occurred at Borrego Park are part of the ongoing investigation.
The autopsy revealed injuries which I believe were a result of an extremely violent encounter. Blaze was stabbed 14 times in the left side of his neck, 5 times on the right side of his neck. He was stabbed, in the knee. He had defensive wounds all over his fingers. He was fighting for his life, and probably a surprise attack.
You hear about that many stab wounds. What does it tell you about the person or the mindset of the person who did that?
Hate and rage. Intimate. It was an intimate killing.
It was devastating news for the family and for the community.
My reaction when I heard it was fury, anger, disbelief. I haven't felt those feelings in my life.
As the investigation into Blaze's murder began, hundreds gathered for a vigil in his honor.
We lost one of our sons. I hope that we can all join together and support the Bernstein family.
funeral was incredibly painful. We had to ask for RSVPs because we could only accommodate here in the building about 11 or 1,200 people. And then there was a public service at the largest space we have in Orange County a few weeks after the funeral, in the 3,000 seats, and that was full.
I believe most people are good.
Students from Blaze's Performing Arts High School chose to sing Luke Bryan's song, Most People Are Good.
I see a lot of goodness here, and I hope that we can bring more tolerance, more peace, understanding, and love to everything that we do and make a better world for our children. Thank you.
The community wrapped its arms around the Bernstein family. The park near their house where Blaze played as a child and where his body was found turned into a makeshift memorial with messages of love and support from all over the world.
This is a note somebody left us. Dear Lord, please watch over the Bernstein family and give them strength during this time. Please guide our police department to help them find the person or persons who took Blaze away. We still needed answers because we didn't have anybody in custody. In my mind, the hunt was still on.
But for investigators, the hunt would become far more complex because they've discovered that the night of the murder, Blaze's best friend received a text message from Blaze's phone saying, quote, "I did something really horrible for the story, but also no one can ever know," end quote. Blaze's friend responds, "What story?" but gets nothing back.
That was the last text message that was sent from his phone.
The last text message from the phone of a murder victim is always going to be of critical importance to a homicide investigator.
We are 6.5 years since my son was killed.
Blaze is ready. Blaze the trail.
We are all going through our own personal hell right now.
Blaze Bernstein was found with 28 stab wounds.
You hear about that many stab wounds. What does it tell you about the person or the mindset of the person who did that?
A lot of anger somewhere from within, and he took it out on Blaze Bernstein.
Did I introduce him to something that later on came back to haunt us all?
And not only was this just a murder, now we're starting to see a bigger picture.
What do you make of the fact that it's very possible that a neo-Nazi killed Blaze in the United States?
He's the grandson of a Holocaust survivor. This can happen anywhere.
There was almost like a gasp from some people.
Police believe they know who killed Blaze Bernstein.
Were you planning to kill him that night?
I hope that we can all join together and support the Bernstein family.
We're hoping for better results, but yesterday afternoon, sheriff's investigators did find the body of Blaze Bernstein.
19-year-old Blaze Bernstein was first reported missing by his family on January 3rd, 2018. But after a week-long search, he was found dead in a park near his parents' Orange County, California home.
As this investigation moves from search and rescue to a homicide investigation, we ask for your continued support in providing tips and information to the Orange County Sheriff's Department.
As investigators search for answers about who had killed Blaze and why, his parents Jeannie and Gideon flew east to Philadelphia to begin a grim task: cleaning out Blaze's apartment on the campus of the University of Pennsylvania. The grief-stricken Bernstein family invited us to go with them for this emotional and difficult journey.
This is the apartment building that my son moved into. He's on.
Let's first look at his mail.
5 days before he came home to California.
It's been hard especially for Jeannie, to come here, having to go and, basically clean up your child's life after they're gone.
And the kitchen was meticulous. I mean, he had every appliance and everything. I loved his apartment. It was so beautiful. It was so Blaze.
This is the Whisk sweatshirt that my brother got. He was an editor for the Pen Appetit magazine. We were going through his closet and we found it, and I was like, I'm gonna take that.
We had an opportunity to meet Blaze's friends. We will be here for you forever, and we appreciate your friendship.
I'm delighted that Blaze had them in his life because I know that they all made him very happy.
He would have loved this. He used to wear this all the time.
I know.
Oh, that my dad.
Blaze was someone that you can trust with anything, and I trusted him with my life. It was apparent that Blaze was figuring out himself, whether it be religion or sexuality or experience.
At what point as parents did you realize that Blaze was gay?
I had an idea about it when he was probably early high school. I saw something on a phone or that he didn't want me to see, and it kind of confirmed a suspicion that I had, and I think he knew that I had seen it.
We actually had a conversation while he was back at college, and he was telling us essentially, you know, yeah, I am gay, but I just don't want to talk about it.
Did people at school know? Was he?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think his friends knew at school.
Because Blaze was so open about his sexuality with me, I feel like that definitely gave him a better foundation. So if he was to go to his parents and his family and open up about that part of his life, he would have known that we were all there for him.
You noticed that too? Yeah. I took a picture of it. In the mirror.
As a mother of a gay man, I am proud to be that.
Blaze is ready. Blaze the trail.
You feel like, you know, like an artist that you have spent your lifetime sculpting this amazing piece of artwork, and then it gets destroyed. And so here we are. Our artwork is gone. Hard to accept.
Back home in California, the investigation continued, and the focus remained on Blaze's former high school classmate, Sam Woodward, the person who admitted to driving with him to Borrego Park.
We have interviewed that friend several times. That person is not in custody, and we are not prepared to comment on persons of interest at this time.
When Orange County Sheriff's investigator Dylan Jansen first spoke with Woodward the day after Blaze was reported missing, he says Woodward seemed nervous and told different versions of where at Borrego Park he and Blaze went that night. And Jansen says Woodward had what appeared to be injuries on his hands.
Those cuts on your hands, they look pretty gnarly. I mean, how do you think you got those from the fight club?
Sam said he was involved with a fight club. He said that he sustained these cuts to his hands after somebody was clawing at him during one of the fights.
When I swung at him, you know, I kind of fell on my ass. And I usually try and have my hands to break my fall for me, and so I landed on some rocks.
You know, I've heard of fight clubs, but I didn't believe it. Anytime that Sam Woodward was walking around the station, when he touched the doorknobs, he would cover his hands with the sleeves of his sweatshirt. Is he attempting to cover up fingerprints? Is he attempting to cover up DNA? It was definitely something that stood out.
Nearly a week after that interview with police, when Blaze's body was found, investigators went looking for Sam Woodward once again.
Investigators said that when they searched Woodward's bedroom, there was some damning evidence. They found a knife with blood on the handle and on the tip of the blade. They also found bloodstains on a sleeping bag outside his window and on the driver's side of his car.
The knife that was found in Sam Woodward's room, the areas of the vehicle that had apparent blood in it, the sleeping bag that was found on the side of Sam Woodward's home, they were all tested for DNA, and those results concluded to be the blood from Blaze Bernstein.
With this new evidence, police are now ready to make an arrest.
Under arrest, 20-year-old Samuel Lincoln Woodward suspected of killing Blaze Bernstein.
Police say DNA evidence led them to arrest the 19-year-old's former high school classmate.
I remember thinking to myself, that's the guy that was on the phone.
I want to find Blaze as much as you do.
At the time, I thought, I wonder what my brother was thinking before he died. I wonder if he was in pain, or I wonder if he could have saved himself. I think once Sam was arrested, I knew my brother didn't have a chance.
But something authorities were playing pretty close to the vest was motive. Why would Sam Woodward want to kill Blaze Bernstein? As the days unfolded, investigators would confront a possibility they hadn't even originally contemplated.
Not only was this murder, we're starting to see a bigger picture. It was absolutely shocking.
This morning, the Orange County District Attorney's Office filed one felony count of murder against 20-year-old Newport Beach resident Samuel Woodward.
Before joining ABC News, I spent 26 years as a deputy district attorney in the Orange County DA's office. And for a time, I was one of the prosecutors consulting on this case. Sam Woodward was taken into custody 10 days after Blaze went missing and 3 days after his body was found.
There was the victim's DNA on property that was in the control of the defendant.
Well, I remember that moment well. I was sitting in my room. I think I was watching it on television, and I just thought to myself, it's finally happened. Now what?
With the knowledge of how Blaze was murdered, now an excruciating reality for the Bernsteins, the focus turned to why.
Blaze was stabbed nearly 20 times in the neck. Using a knife to kill is particularly violent because you have to be up so close. That many wounds says this was likely a crime of rage or of passion, more personal than your typical murder. So as a prosecutor, my next question would be, who is Sam Woodward and what was his relationship with Blaze?
I had no clue why Blaze would be meeting with Sam. You know, they were never really friends in school. I just know that everybody else got bad vibes from him.
Woodward grew up in Newport Beach, the wealthy suburb south of LA in Orange County. He was a Cub Scout and Eagle Scout, and as we know, Woodward spent part of his high school years at OSHA, the same elite art school where Blaze had also been a student.
It took me a couple of minutes as I watched the footage. It started to dawn on me, oh my God, that's the Sam I taught. Every kid in my acting for the camera class, it was film work. So I said, everybody pick your favorite movie and bring me a scene or a monologue from that film. And he said, I want to do something from the Army. So I gave him Brad Pitt's speech in Inglourious Bastards.
As a bushwhacking guerrilla army, we're going to be doing one thing and one thing only: killing Nazis.
The provocative Quentin Tarantino World War II thriller is about a plan to assassinate Nazi leaders by a band of Jewish soldiers.
It weighs heavily on me that I introduce him to something that later on came back to haunt us all.
A.C. Thompson, an investigative reporter for ProPublica, uncovered some disturbing information when digging into Woodward's background.
When I started reporting on Sam Woodward, what really stuck out to me was this. Sam Woodward was a member of the Atomwaffen Division, which was a neo-Nazi terrorist group that aimed to bring down the U.S. government and incite a race war.
Race war now! Atomwaffen posted violent propaganda videos online to spread a message of hate and to help recruit new members.
The Atomwaffen Division was a neo-Nazi group that existed from about 2015 to 2020. They were inspired by Charles Manson. They were also inspired by Tim McVeigh, the Oklahoma City bomber. They weren't interested in protests or marching in the streets. They wanted to kill people.
That organization was hell-bent on destroying America within, taking down the system.
My reporting team and I got access to thousands and thousands of private chat messages that were between members of the Atomwaffen group. Sam Woodward was one of the people in these chats.
Writing in the chats under the alias Saboteur, Woodward spewed anti-Semitic, anti-gay, misogynist hate.
When we executed the search warrants on several electronic devices, including computers and cell phones and laptops, there were thousands of images of white supremacist propaganda and hundreds of images to include the Atomwaffen division.
But Woodward's interest in Atomwaffen apparently went beyond just talk in a chat room. Also found on Sam Woodward's devices was a picture with James Mason. He's a neo-Nazi whose writings Atomwaffen members describe as a main influence on the group, along with a photo of Woodward in a skull mask giving the Nazi salute.
Now we're starting to see a bigger picture. Not only was this just a murder, there's a high probability that Sam Woodward killed Blaze Bernstein because he was homosexual, possibly because he was Jewish, or a combination of both.
I'm here to announce the Orange County District Attorney's Office will file an amended complaint, a hate crime enhancement accusing Woodward of intentionally committing first-degree murder, due in whole or in part to Blaze's sexual orientation. We will prove that Woodward killed Blaze because Blaze is gay.
What do you make of the fact that it's very possible that a neo-Nazi killed Blaze in the United States?
Yeah, if that's the case, that's going to be the biggest tragedy of this story.
He's the grandson of a Holocaust survivor. This can happen anywhere. You aren't safe from this type of hate.
But something else that's still not adding up, how were Blaze Bernstein and Sam Woodward connected? They were both from Orange County, but Blaze, a young gay Jewish man, and Woodward, a member of a neo-Nazi group, seemed to have nothing else in common. Why were they together that night in the first place? Sam Woodward would have his day in court with a stunning new look and a surprising defense. While Sam Woodward was arrested for killing Blaze Bernstein in January 2018, it would take 6 years for him to face a jury. Woodward was charged with first-degree murder, a hate crime. He pleaded not guilty.
19-year-old Blaze Bernstein was stabbed repeatedly and killed back in 2018, and now, 6 years later, that trial finally begins today.
By the time the trial was starting, I'd already left the DA's office, but I was watching the proceedings closely.
Still, no one seems prepared for the Sam Woodward that has led into Judge Kimberly Menager's courtroom.
There was almost like a gasp from some people, just to kind of that visceral reaction to kind of seeing him. Long, dark, stringy hair, long, dark beard, covering his face. It's hard not to kind of draw mental comparisons to Charles Manson.
Blaze Bernstein was found with 28 stab wounds.
Senior Deputy District Attorney Jennifer Walker's opening statements tell the story of a young man who they say set out to murder 19-year-old Blaze Bernstein in cold blood. That hate crime charge, she explains, that was brought because prosecutors believed the evidence showed Sam Woodward murdered Blaze because he was gay, but not because he was Jewish.
You'll see the cell phone evidence, the defendant's words, the defendant's hate.
But in his opening statements, defense attorney Ken Morrison did something we definitely don't see every day by making a stunning admission.
My client, Sam Woodward, was responsible for that death. The why is the single most important issue you will need to decide.
This is no longer a trial about guilt or innocence. The question now becomes, did Woodward plan the killing because of a hatred of gay people? Was it premeditated? If the jury agrees, that could mean a first-degree murder conviction and most likely a sentence of life without the possibility of parole.
Morrison argues for a lesser charge of voluntary manslaughter and an acquittal of the hate crime allegation, which would result in a reduced sentence and a chance for parole.
The evidence will show that Blaze Bernstein's sexual orientation had absolutely nothing to do with the reason he was killed.
Jennifer Walker calls her first witnesses, Blaze Bernstein's parents. Gideon Bernstein now faces down the man who killed his son as he recounts the painful moments when the family first realized that Blaze was missing.
You remember where you were when you got the phone call?
I do remember that, yes.
And why does that stand out in your mind?
Because it was the beginning of hell.
Jennifer Walker then brings an Orange County Sheriff's deputy to the stand to describe what he watched Sam Woodward do on January 5th, 2018, after police decided to put Woodward under surveillance.
What did you observe?
I observed him what appeared to be cleaning his vehicle, the interior and exterior.
He had in his possession what looked like a spray bottle of cleaning product.
Now scrubbing the driver's side door.
It was very strange to us. What was he cleaning? Why?
Jennifer Walker then digs into the heart of her hate crime argument, portraying Sam Woodward as somebody who changed from Eagle Scout to neo-Nazi.
He had developed his long-standing beliefs against Jewish people and gay people, and started joining groups that espoused the views that he had.
This is where Woodward's involvement in the extremist group Atomwaffen becomes key for the prosecution. Investigators say they found these images on Woodward's personal devices.
The prosecution calls an ex-member to the stand whose voice has been altered and his face obscured at the request of the court. He's also using an alias.
Good morning, Mr. Murphy.
Good morning.
Prosecutors allege that Woodward sought out the group, and once there, the fires of his hatred were further stoked as he attended multiple meetings.
So this summer of 2017, Austin, Texas, tell us what you and Sam Woodward did.
We took propaganda photos. That involved us throwing up Nazi salutes. Put the Atomwaffen logo on the photos, you know, for propaganda purposes.
The prosecution also presents what Woodward himself labels Sam's diary of hate, emails he sent to himself over a 7-month period in 2017.
The prey that the defendant had chosen was gay people. And he kept a diary of his feelings and intentions.
And who did the prosecution allege that he was, quote, hunting? Well, they say that Sam Woodward had been visiting online dating sites to connect with gay men.
Downloaded Grindr so I could send photos of their fellow sodomites getting killed and tell them that they're going to be next. They're terrified, LMAO. This is too much fun. They think they're going to get hate crimed, and it scares the out of them.
And this is how the prosecution claims Sam Woodward targeted Blaze while he was hunting for victims on the dating app Tinder. The two men first connected on the app in June of 2017, 3 years after they'd been classmates at OSHA. And then again, the night Blaze disappeared. The last exchange is allegedly what led to their encounter in Borrego Park.
And then here is where the luring starts. And the defendant says, "Is anyone near you right now? Because I just wanted to say." And Blaze says, "Nope." "Nope, what?" "No one is near me." And the defendant says, "I might make an exception for you." And the defendant says, "Look, do you have Snap?" And then we have Blaze snapping his address to the defendant at 10:37 p.m. on January 2nd of 2018.
According to prosecutors, the trap had been set and Blaze stumbled right into it that night when he agreed to meet up with Sam Woodward.
But when it's the defense's turn to present its case, Sam Woodward's defense attorney, Ken Morrison, is making his case.
Sam did not hate Blaze for any reason.
Remember, the defense has acknowledged that 26-year-old Sam Woodward killed Blaze Bernstein, but they insist it was neither a premeditated murder nor a hate crime.
You will also hear lots of additional evidence that helps to explain why this homicide was committed.
But just as Morrison starts laying out his case, the defense team is dealt a blow. The judge rules that some evidence is inadmissible, including that mysterious last text message sent from Blaze's phone on the night of the murder. I did something really horrible for the story, but also no one can ever know.
The jury then hears how Sam Woodward was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, which the defense says hindered his ability to make and maintain friendships and contributed to Sam's acute sense of isolation and loneliness.
This helps to explain how starved Sam was for the camaraderie, the brotherhood, and acceptance, and how profoundly vulnerable he was to recruitment into groups like Atomwaffen.
The defense claims Sam Woodward's participation in Atomwaffen wasn't as much about ideology as it was about connecting with others and just having a good time. Morrison calls former Atomwaffen member Tyler Wiesing to the stand.
So would you characterize the camp as very serious in terms of the ideology, goals, training, that sort of thing?
That was the intent and the image. In the reality, it was a bunch of people getting drunk and not taking things seriously.
As for those Tinder messages, well, the prosecution argued that Sam Woodward was online to hunt and terrorize victims. Morrison says that never happened, and he argues that in this case, it was Blaze who pursued Sam.
June 15, 2017, Blaze Bernstein saw Sam's profile on Tinder, and Blaze Bernstein initiated the first contact with Sam Woodward, not the other way around. And then Sam says, "Thing is, you're not too shabby looking yourself, Blaze." Blaze says, "Ah, well, thanks, Sam. That's sweet of you." Emoji. Sam says, "Yeah, you're cute, TBH, to be honest."
According to the defense, Sam Woodward was repressing his own feelings of homosexuality, which could help explain the reason behind, quote, Sam's diary of hate.
He's trying to kind of keep this as like this hidden away part of his life. That these hate diary entries are simply narrative constructs to cover up that part of him should Atomwaffen members get suspicious.
Morrison argues that Sam Woodward was tortured by his sexual identity because of what he claims he heard at home. He calls Woodward's mother, Michelle, to the witness stand.
Ms. Woodward, was it ever communicated to your children that homosexuality is a sin?
Yes.
And who communicated that?
My husband.
The defense calls James Markle to the stand, please.
Family friend James Markle tells the court about an incident he says Michelle recounted to him about Sam's father, Blake.
Was there any particular word that Michelle Woodward told you that she would hear Blake call Sam?
He would say, he would say, gay.
But when called to the stand, Sam Woodward's father, Blake, denies using any homophobic slurs.
Would you make derogatory remarks about homosexual people in Sam's presence?
No.
But ultimately, the case would hinge on the testimony of the one person who was there the night Blaze Bernstein was killed, Sam Woodward.
The defense is calling on Samuel Woodward.
For the defense, calling their client to testify is a risky move. It can be viewed as a Hail Mary or as a very shrewd tactic to play on the jury's sympathies.
And Mr. Woodward, can I ask you if you're able to move the hair out of your face a little bit?
Sam Woodward's defense attorney, Ken Morrison, takes Woodward through the story of his life, arriving at a key question.
Sam, was there ever a time in your life that you can recall where you wondered whether you might be gay?
No.
No, I can't say really there was, no.
This may have just blown up Ken Morrison's defense, which hinges on the argument that Sam Woodward was struggling with his sexual identity. And that will become hugely important because of what Morrison is about to argue Blaze did that night, which he says provoked the attack.
You will learn that Blaze Bernstein was not killed because of who he was, but because of what he did to Sam Woodward after they met up.
What will Sam Woodward say happened that night?
When you drove to Blaze Bernstein's house to pick him up, Sam, were you planning to kill him that night?
It's day 28 in the trial of Sam Woodward, and defense attorney Ken Morrison is questioning his client about the night that he and Blaze ended up in Borrego Park.
I'm pretty sure I said we should hang out at some point, or rather it'd be cool if you wanted to, and right after that, he said to me that he was actually free this night right now, and at that point, I said, all right, cool.
Sam Woodward testifies that after picking up Blaze near his house, the two men eventually arrived at the park. There, on a bench, Woodward claims the night took a dark turn.
Woodward said he smoked some marijuana, was starting to kind of get drowsy, kind of nod off. He feels something and opens his eyes.
I saw a hand right on my crotch with my pants unbuckled. I looked right up and I saw him, and he had his phone in his hand. He kept saying something that I can only remember as, I got you already. I got you, I got you, I got you, I got you, hypocrite. I heard him maybe use the word outed in the same sentence. I couldn't exactly remember.
If Sam Woodward is to be believed, Blaze was threatening him, and that's what made Woodward snap.
What, if anything, did you think he was doing with his cell phone?
I thought he might photograph me. I thought he might send text messages. I thought he might be trying to record me.
So at any point in time, did you see Blaze actually appear as though he was texting any messages?
Yes.
Sam Woodward says his fear was that there had been an image or video taken and that his family would learn about it.
I grew up in a home with my mother and my father and my brother. Loved them more than I can almost speak about. My father, though, if he'd heard about something like that got out somehow, I couldn't fathom that.
Sam Woodward then describes how he says things escalated.
I found one of the knives that I had used to open up the container of marijuana. I just kept driving and driving and driving and driving the knife down.
When you say driving the
stand could either pay off or lose big.
Okay, so walk me through it, sir.
On cross-examination, Jennifer Walker attacks Woodward's credibility.
The left side of his neck was closest to you, right? If he's sitting to your right?
Everything was a blur.
Well, how did you stab him 14 separate times on the left side of his neck when he was sitting right next to you?
I can't remember.
And how did you stab him 5 separate times on the right side of his neck when he was sitting to your right?
I can't remember.
After a trial full of fits and starts, spanning almost 3 months, the case goes to the jury. The jury deliberates for about 8 hours.
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Samuel Woodward, guilty of the crime of first-degree murder.
It's an emotional moment, even for the court clerk.
A felony and violate. Just 1 sec.
Sure.
I've prosecuted a lot of murder cases, and I can't say I've ever seen a court clerk react like that.
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find it to be true that the defendant, Samuel Woodward, committed hate crime, first-degree murder.
We are thrilled with the verdict, which holds Samuel Woodward accountable for the brutal, violent, painful murder of our son. Justice has been served. Thank you.
Breaking news now, an emotional afternoon in an Orange County courtroom. The sentencing has just been handed down for the man convicted in the hate crime murder of Blaze Bernstein.
This time the court does sentence the defendant to state prison for the term prescribed by law, which is life without the possibility of parole.
The jury said that they saw this as a hate crime and that hate was not going to get you anywhere in this world.
In the 7 years since Blaze Bernstein's murder, the family of Sam Woodward has never spoken out beyond their court testimony. But the Bernsteins say the Woodwards did leave something for them back in 2018.
Have they reached out to you, by the way?
Yeah.
We found a note under our doormat.
What did it say, this note?
Orange County Sheriff's investigator Sergeant Dylan Jansen knows Borrego Park a lot better than he would like to. In the initial days of the investigation, how many hours would you say you spent at this park here?
Countless. I spent a lot of time over here just looking, thinking, analyzing, what was the truth, what's not the truth.
We may never know exactly what happened the night Blaze was murdered, or what that last text message meant. But Sergeant Jansen can answer one question based on the evidence.
That cell phone, even though it was damaged, we were able to send it to various companies to restructure the cell phone and extract any and all information on there.
Were there any pictures of that night?
No. No.
This park is pretty meaningful for you.
So we stop here and go check out the garden of rocks that are now over in the corner.
Do you feel that you get a little bit of closure each time you put one more rock down?
I don't even know what closure is. When you lose a child, I think maybe closure for me will be just being able to look at all of these things and be happy.
Almost 7 years after I walked in Borrego Park with the Bernsteins, the memorial of painted stones honoring their son has blossomed. Jeannie and Gideon have both moved away from Foothill Ranch, but they tell me they still find solace in this place.
In the Jewish tradition, it is a thing that you put rocks at a gravesite.
And there's a permanence to it.
It gives us some feeling of connection to people, the people that will hear our story and understand the importance of eradicating hate in this world. This is about love.
Since 2018, the Bernsteins have been building a movement. They call it Blaze It Forward.
The Blaze It Forward campaign was based off the idea that as a community, we can make a difference and we can change the way that this world works. We were able to take that in my brother's honor to try and encourage people to just do one good thing every day.
They participate in local pride parades, and Jeannie hosts a podcast featuring people doing good in the world. Sam Woodward's parents, Blake and Michelle Woodward, never responded to an interview request with ABC News, but they did write a letter to the court, submitted at sentencing. It reads, in part, "In the past, you could look into Sam's eyes and be surprised at the level of sensitivity and warmth. It's one of his best traits. Now, he's too vulnerable to let you look him in the eyes. He committed a crime, but he is not a person without value, unworthy of respect."
Speaking about the Woodward parents, they left a note at your house in 2018, right?
They did. At the time, I thought it was infuriating. because one of the things that they said in that letter was that that both families are going through a hard time right now. I don't think that she had any idea how hard of a time we were having.
But there's another letter that holds more meaning for Jeannie and Gideon, discovered after the trial, tucked among the colorful painted stones of Blaze's memorial.
This is a copy of a note that was left for us in the park by one of the jurors. She basically says in this letter to Blaze that she's really sorry that she didn't get to know him.
Thank you everyone for coming to class today.
So Blaze would be 27. Do you ever think about what he would be like today had he lived?
He'd be doing something fantastic. I know that about Blaze, and he'd be making people happy. That's what he did. Blaze is always on my mind. I think about him from the minute I wake up until I go to bed at night. He was my person.
You take it. It's on record.
He was a piece of man. He's gone. But I'm still here, and whatever he's done to make an impact on this world is what we're going to leverage and try to make sure that people never forget.
Fourth of July. It's a day when people come together to celebrate our independence and the spirit of America. And that's what you'll see in Madison, Wisconsin.
4th of July celebrations have been going on all weekend, but of course Americans are going all out today.
The lakes are really core to the identity of Madison. Just being around water, being around nature is really big to a lot of people here.
Madison is Wisconsin's gorgeous capital city. Built on a strip of land connecting Lakes Monona and Mendota, generations of families have come here to lay roots. But as residents of a small town just north of here would come to know, secrets, lies, and betrayal don't stop at these shores.
Bart and Krista Halderson lived in a community called Windsor, just north of Madison. Everyone who knew the Haldersons loved them.
We used to have a horseshoe league. Bart and Krista were on a horseshoe team. We competed against them 2-3 times a year. And just being neighbors, they were just people that ran into all the time. Absolutely salt of the earth people were Bart and Krista. Their house always looked good. It was well manicured, it was well mowed, it was always taken care of.
There were competitions in the neighborhood about who had the best lawn and who cared the most about their yards, and Bart cared about his yard.
Krista is an administrative assistant for a local auto shop, and Bart is an accountant.
Bart and Krista, they weren't rich, but they were comfortable.
Yeah, they were just regular people trying to do their best.
She was the youngest cousin, bright red hair. She was the
and actually he would bring his girlfriend with him.
Everything was going well for everyone. I don't know any family who wouldn't want to be in the situation the Haldersons were in.
But in June of 2021, the Haldersons' good fortune takes a turn.
Their eldest son, Mitchell, was diagnosed with diabetes. And then right after that, their younger son, Chandler, fell down a flight of stairs at the Haldersons' home.
He was taken to the hospital and he was diagnosed with a head injury.
In that picture, on Father's Day of 2021, standing next to Bart, he's got the brace on. His neck was injured and was going to affect his ability to walk. He might have a colostomy bag, he couldn't fly, so he couldn't go back to Florida for the job. Like his whole life was going to change because he had this fall.
I know once he was in that neck brace, his job situation with SpaceX was kind of pushed on the back burner.
It seemed like he would not be able to take the job at SpaceX. He wouldn't be able to help around the house. He wasn't even able to walk properly. And after that, Chandler required help. His mother would assist him going up and down stairs, would bring him meals.
Although Krista doted on her sons in their time of need, she rarely missed a day of work. So on Friday morning, July 2nd, when she fails to show up at her job, co-workers are concerned.
Krista was one of these people who was always at work, and she always let people know what her plans were.
It's a Friday right before the 4th of July holiday, but she hadn't asked off. She hadn't told anyone she wasn't going to be there. It was really unusual for her to not show up for work. She'd never done it before.
She wasn't answering her phone. A co-worker decided to go over to the house and make sure she was okay. When he looked in the garage, both of the Haldersons' cars were there.
The Haldersons aren't here. Their cars are here. Where are the Haldersons?
Now, the Haldersons have a family cabin they love to go to on weekends. And initially, there's some speculation that this is where Bart and Krista are. But none of the neighbors saw them leave.
As far as we know, no one saw the Haldersons that day.
They told their neighbors when they were going up to the cabin, who they were going to be with, where they were going to be. So for there to be so many unknowns about what happened that weekend was a little unusual.
And when Krista fails to make a medical appointment on Monday, it really raises red flags.
She was recovering from some skin cancer, and so this was an important appointment for her.
Is it like her to just miss that appointment or not tell anybody she wasn't going to make it?
No, Chris is not the person that would just not show up.
Everyone who knows her says she wouldn't have missed that appointment. She was planning to be there, and then she wasn't. And that's when people really start to get concerned, because no one knows where Bart and Krista are.
All of a sudden, my wife comes in the bedroom and she says, the Haldersons are gone. They're missing. My mind went to the bad spot, like, that is not right. It was just kind of disturbing for somebody that I know that well to suddenly be gone.
What's going through your mind?
Something's really wrong. I don't know what and why and how, but something's really wrong.
The strange disappearance of Bart and Krista Halderson is a mystery, captivating local Wisconsiners.
Are we rolling?
We're rolling now.
Including a pair of podcasters.
I'm Jill.
And I'm Richard.
And we do the True Crime Brewery podcast. We're very fascinated with true crime and just love to really figure out what's going on behind the scenes.
Ready.
So, we've been talking more and more about these cases.
Their podcast, as the name suggests, mixes suds.
We pick a beer from the area the crime occurred.
With sleuthing.
Today we're covering a case from Wisconsin.
And have I got a beer for you?
I feel like it brings together the personality of the city where the crime happened. Bart and Krista Halderson, they are just everybody's neighbor, everybody's family member, just working hard, trying to take care of their children, trying to provide the best for their family.
Bart and Krista just loved the 4th of July. You could always catch them at the parade. It was probably their favorite holiday.
But that weekend, in July 2021, strangely, the couple are nowhere to be found.
Bart and Krista had not told anyone that they had a plan to go away for 4th of July weekend.
There's no explanation forthcoming as to why they're not there.
So the only time people heard from Bart and Krista over the 4th of July weekend was when Krista texted Chandler on July 4th.
The text to her son Chandler says they arrived at the family cabin 3 hours north. It read, "Made it safely. Love you lots."
Their friends learned that she had reached out to him, which made sense. She was a mom who talked to her kids all the time.
This is where we hung out and collected rocks and played games. So this is early on. It's my dad, and that's the cabin in the background.
And that's Krista right there.
This is Krista.
I can always tell Krista by that shock of red hair.
Fiery red hair.
Yeah.
And she was the youngest.
The cabin has been in Barbie and Krista's family since the 1940s, when it was built by their grandfather.
That was like the heart and soul of our extended family. The cabin was our way to get back together and be together. There was no phone, no indoor plumbing, very rustic.
Sounds like this was a place where you and Krista really bonded.
The cabin was where we would reunite.
Chandler had told family members he knew his parents were going to the cabin for the weekend, but he was expecting them home by Tuesday the 6th. Now, Tuesday's come and gone, and the couple seems to have vanished. How did you learn that Bart and Krista were missing?
I got an email from my cousin that said, "Please pray, Bart and Krista are missing." And I remember thinking, what do you mean they're missing? I can't even comprehend what that means. And so we started calling cousins, like, what's happening?
On July 7th, 6 days after Bart and Krista were last seen, Chandler heads to the Dane County Sheriff's Office to report his parents missing.
Chandler says, "I haven't seen my parents. We need to start looking for them."
Detectives Sabrina Sims and Brian Shunk will lead the investigation, and they meet with Chandler later that day at the Halderson home in Windsor. At that point, you're here just trying to figure out what happened.
Yeah, just to ask more follow-up questions and trying to get the timeline of events.
His parents left around 5 a.m., basically left without a peep. From everything that you knew about Bart and Krista, was that the kind of thing they do?
No, we were learning from friends and family that that's completely out of character for them to not tell people where they were going.
Chandler tells detectives that his parents planned to fix a water pump and a fire pit up at the cabin, and that both were damaged in a recent storm. So he says he helped them pack supplies, including a pipe wrench, a hatchet, and gas cans for a chainsaw.
He also said that they brought alcohol and cash with them.
He mentioned they were maybe going to a casino to go gambling. We learned that it's out of character for them to go gambling and that the Haldersons, especially Bart, was pretty frugal with his money.
When investigators inspect the Halderson home, they see both Bart and Krista's cars are still in the garage.
Both their cars are still there. So what's going on with that? Chandler says, well, they went with this other couple. I don't know who they are, but they took the other couple's car.
Chandler tells detectives that his parents left in an unknown vehicle, and when detectives review neighbors' home security cameras, they spot a white van driving down the Halderson Street in the early morning hours on Friday, July 2nd. Could this van be the vehicle driven by that mystery couple?
We were looking for a van. It was an unknown vehicle, and then we saw it on surveillance camera.
Hoping he might know who the couple is, investigators speak to Chandler's older brother, Mitchell, who lives close by. But he says as far as he knows, none of his parents' friends went with them to the cabin.
Nobody knew who that couple was. No phone numbers, no names, nothing. I mean, for them to drive up to the cabin with somebody that nobody even knew who they were, that was very odd. Where's the other couple? That was the other thing. Where's the other couple? Because no one's heard from them, whoever they are.
They're gone. Their cars are here. What are you thinking?
I think at that point we decided we need to send a team up to the cabin.
You've got to get to that cabin right now to figure out what happened.
Yeah.
I have to imagine your mind starts going to terrible places.
Yeah, your mind starts thinking all kinds of things.
And when investigators finally reach the cabin in the woods,
Sheriff's office, make yourselves known.
what or who will be lurking in the shadows?
What's a little crawl space? Holy.
I'm Bill Callender. I'm a member of the Wolf River Fire Department and Rescue in Langlade County, northeast Wisconsin. With all the recreation we've got here, and we've got a big area, people do get turned around, they go missing, and then that's usually then when we get called out. The Wolf River area is really a nice area, fairly lightly populated, but we've got a lot of great recreation. We've got the Wolf River, very popular fishing stream, lots of recreational opportunities. We've got the rapids on the river go up to Class 3. We've got heavily wooded area. Much of our township is in the Chequamegon-Nicolet National Forest.
And Wolf River is the area where Bart and Krista Halderson had their family cabin and where they were supposed to spend the 4th of July weekend.
It's a beautiful place, but it can be a dangerous place. Like anywhere that's completely natural and completely wild, there are pitfalls to that. A river can easily become someplace you drown. The woods can easily become someplace you're lost. And so it's not unheard of for people to go missing in this area.
Now, back in July of 21, our chief got a call from one of the Langlade County deputies and said that, we may be needed.
Cell service isn't fantastic out here either. Weather always seems to change, but crime never does.
I'm Detective Sergeant Groans with Langlade.
On July 8th, I received a call to assist the Dane County Sheriff's Office with a search of the Halderson cabin. As an investigator, I was assigned a body camera, which was activated when we arrived at the property.
What's your relation? You're their son. Okay, all right.
So this footage we're looking at here, it's recorded by your body camera.
That's correct.
Okay. And who are you speaking to here?
This was Mitchell Halderson and his fiancée.
1 week after his parents mysteriously vanished, Mitchell tells investigators that he's so concerned about his parents' well-being that he and his fiancée make the 3-hour drive north to the cabin.
They seemed concerned and also as perplexed as we were about Bart and Krista Halderson's whereabouts.
Maybe we could just take a walk around and see you.
So at that point, we took a walk around the exterior of the property. We noticed that the grass and the weeds had not been kept up. In some places it was waist or even chest high.
Did it look like the cabin had been in use?
It certainly didn't look like it had been used anytime recently.
They start walking around, and everything's still locked up. The grass is really tall.
What first struck me when they were walking, I was like, that's our cabin. That's our family cabin.
Was there a sense of urgency at this point?
With the information we had and things not really making sense, our possibilities were dwindling. I was starting to just wonder what we were going to find next.
And I was worried they were going to be inside. That's what I thought. Something went horribly wrong. Yeah, that was very disturbing.
Sheriff's office, anybody inside?
There was a concern that Bart and Krista had been kidnapped by this couple that picked them up early that morning, and something had been done to them by them.
Announce your presence, make yourselves known.
I think the police were very concerned that they were going to find 2 dead people there.
But once inside, despite everyone's worst fears, the cabin appears empty to police.
It was dark, so you could tell nobody had been there for a while.
Every single indication shows that this cabin has been empty.
The steepest stairs I've ever seen.
As Detective Groans makes his way through the cabin, he spots a door to the cellar. So right about here, you draw your gun. Why?
Yeah, whenever we go into an unknown space, that's something that we would do just in our own safety.
So for an outsider, this is a dark, creepy space. You got to be ready for anything.
Absolutely.
What's a little crawl space? Holy.
But nothing there either.
Nobody inside and nothing looks like it's disturbed.
So after searching the cabin, investigators make their way down to the lake to check on the shed.
There's all these outbuildings, boathouses and sheds, and all these little tiny buildings that could offer places for people to be. My thought was that Krista was being held in one of those. That's what I thought.
Was there any concern that they might have been held captive in a place like this or been held against their will?
With the padlocks on the outside, it is something that we definitely considered.
They break the padlock on the boathouse, but Bart and Krista are nowhere to be found.
I don't know a ton of details about everything that's gone on. Or
You're filming Mitchell. What are you hearing from him at this point?
Mitchell seemed concerned, and I feel as we went further into the search and we weren't finding any signs of Bart and Krista, his concern became more and more greater as the search of the property continued.
He said his brother texted him that they did make it safely. Out of like reading back through stuff, they just said we're going up north.
So at this point, for you, this is a mystery, right?
This is definitely a mystery. We don't know who Bart and Krista are believed to be with. There are no signs of Bart and Krista being at this property.
Do you know, did they have any friends, like they might have gone to their cabin in the area?
I have to assume they came up to someone else's cabin, but I don't know who.
Really nowhere for us to even suggest looking next at this point. We didn't have anywhere to go. We didn't have a name. We didn't have a vehicle. We didn't have a location. Truly looking for a needle in a 900 square mile haystack.
And then the question is, okay, if they're not at the cabin, where are they?
There were no bodies, there was no anything. So we didn't know what happened, but of course your mind goes to, did the worst happen? Are Bart and Krista still alive?
As investigators and volunteers prepare to scour the county in search of the missing couple, news is spreading about Bart and Krista's disappearance.
We have team coverage on these breaking developments. Bart Halderson and his wife Krista have not been seen since July 1st.
What happens next?
Had the craziest phone call that I had in my law enforcement career. He said that our services were really no longer needed at that point, and then said that he couldn't say much, but I should probably watch the news the next day.
Authorities are still searching for a Windsor couple who have not been seen in days.
My wife is pretty shook up too. I mean, they're a very nice couple, very nice family.
It's been a week since Bart and Krista Halderson were last seen. And while Mitchell Halderson is up at the family cabin searching for his parents, his younger brother Chandler is back home in Windsor, canvassing the neighborhood. He's seen on the neighbor's home security camera footage obtained by investigators. What are you seeing on the home security footage later?
Chandler was going around to neighbors. You would see that they had Ring cameras or some type of security cameras on the outside of their homes. So he was going in and asking them, you know, if they had reviewed the video footage.
Remember, one of those neighbors' home security cameras captured this mysterious white van, but it led investigators to a dead end. And yet, Chandler presses on. Chandler is recorded on one Ring camera asking a neighbor about their security system.
We're hoping anyone would have like security cameras and stuff like that.
We do.
He's going from neighbor to neighbor asking them, hey, this camera, I see it. Does it point at the road? Does it see our driveway? What does this see?
Take care of things. Bye.
Chandler approaches another neighbor's house and waves to the camera.
My name is Chandler Halderson. I live just down the road.
Oh, yes.
And there's one house where they have more of a professional surveillance system on the home. So he speaks to the woman there.
If you were able to capture the road or my house.
They discuss camera angles and whether their camera has night vision.
He discovers that one is a wide-angled camera. He looks to see what part of the street that would cover.
Yeah, did it capture anything on?
We don't know.
You can see he's really sleuthing, trying to uncover whatever evidence these neighbors may have.
He was asking questions such as, can you see the road? Can you see vehicles drive by? He's out trying to figure out if anything was seen on the outside of his home at that point, you know, from when his parents went missing.
He asks, could there be any footage of my parents being driven away early in the morning on the 2nd? Do you have any footage? It would be maybe helpful to the investigation to see what kind of car picked them up, of course.
One household actually told him that police had already collected the video.
The police actually came and downloaded everything they have. So they were here staying till like 9 o'clock last night and downloaded all the video she's got.
Chandler walks up to yet another neighbor's house and rings their bell. The neighbor, a retired detective with the Madison Police Department, tells Chandler to meet him in the garage so that they can talk.
Hey, I'll meet you in the garage, okay?
Okay.
The neighbor says he had a gut feeling that he should record the conversation, which he would later turn over to police.
Sorry about what's going on.
What it is, but I was wondering if your door camera
You
picks
do
up
have
the
it right
road.
now.
Does it pick up the road?
Yes, some it does.
Would you have any notifications from Friday morning early before 6:15?
We can check. That's not a problem.
Chandler's quest doesn't end there.
Bart and Krista Halderson of Windsor had plans for the 4th.
He heads to WKOW, an ABC news station in Madison, which has been broadcasting Bart and Krista's photo.
At this point, Chandler, he talks to reporters.
But Chandler says he's reticent to go on camera, saying he fears retaliation from whoever may have taken his parents.
He thinks people might be targeting him. He says, is someone out to get my family? I don't want to be on camera, but I want people to hear from me. I want people to know I'm looking for my parents. And so he does an interview with a reporter from our station.
Their son, Chandler Halderson, who asked to be off camera, says whoever his parents were traveling with from this neighborhood were to do the driving. He says he received a text from his mother.
She got back to me. They made it safely. Their plans were going up with their friends and do some minor repairs on our cabin.
Did you literally see them pulling out of the driveway, heading out?
No.
With the town now buzzing about the missing couple, Chandler's back at home, and he notices a different kind of activity outside his window.
Chandler sees this uptick in police activity outside his house, so he calls Detective Schunk to find out what's happening. That phone call was recorded.
He was asking if everything was okay. He was asking why there were so many police in his neighborhood.
A little confused. I got 2 squads parked right outside my house. Is everything all right?
And I had to explain to him, we were canvassing the neighborhood. Yeah, I mean, well, they're probably doing reports.
All right.
Any news on your end at all? Have you gotten any phone calls, text messages?
Gotten any messages other than from concerned parents?
Well, I'll keep you posted if I hear anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Later that night, Chandler comes voluntarily into the Dane County Sheriff's Office, where investigators bring him into this room and seat him in this chair.
So if you just want to have a seat right there, perfect. Thank you so much.
This? Or...
Sure, that's fine.
He's wearing a baseball cap, a sweatshirt, and a furrowed brow.
Just so you know, I'm gonna record stuff, okay?
In that police interview, Chandler talks about the last meal he had with his parents on July 1st, right before they left for the cabin.
That's where they told me while we were eating it, they were gonna go with their friends, and I was like, oh, cool. And they said they were going to the cabin. Yeah, the friends. Okay. We're going up north. That's how they referred to it.
Chandler says that by the next morning, his parents had left, never to be heard from again, except for that one reassuring text from his mother.
Nothing else. Yeah, so that's fishy to me.
But investigators are skeptical too, and here's why. They know something Chandler doesn't.
I can't tell you what we know, but we know you're not telling us the truth.
Investigators have asked Chandler Halderson to come in for an interview, and they've also asked for his girlfriend, Kat Melender, to come in as well. Both agree to come in voluntarily, and they're in separate rooms while police act on a new tip that's come to their attention.
A farmer in Cottage Grove, a town about 20 miles away from the Halderson home in Windsor, reports a suspicious sighting earlier in the week.
That's when they find something that really changes this entire investigation.
One of the residents at the farm said that Chandler had come over to the house on July 5th with a vehicle and backed it up against some wooded property and saw him walking from the wooded area and found that to be unusual.
You start searching the farm. You notice something overhead. What was that?
One of the detectives noticed what he believed to be turkey vultures flying around over the wooded portion.
What is a turkey vulture?
Turkey vultures are large birds that feed off typically dead animals. They're scavengers.
What does that trigger in your mind?
He said that from his past professional experience, it kind of indicates that, you know, there's something dead in the area.
And was this in the area or a similar area where Chandler's car had been parked?
Yes. So the detective ended up walking the path that he believed that Chandler was on.
They start to look a little bit closer. They go into the woods and then they see a pile that doesn't look normal.
There, amidst the matted grass, investigators discover what appears to be the torso of an unidentified male body.
It was determined that the individual was shot, dismembered after they were killed.
Hidden inside an oil drum near the body, investigators find a pair of scissors, a saw blade, and bolt cutters. But even with this grisly discovery, investigators will have to wait for the medical examiner to confirm that it is indeed Bart Halderson.
I mean, things at that point really changed for everybody in the case.
So right there, at that moment, this goes from a missing persons case to a homicide.
Yes.
But here's what else has investigators intrigued. That farm has a link to someone very close to the Haldersons.
So the farm in Cottage Grove, it's Chandler's girlfriend's family. They're there over 4th of July weekend. They're celebrating.
While you have Chandler, you have Kat in another room.
Oh, there's a Pooh Bear? All right, you can play with it if you want to.
Kat draws a smiley face on a sequin pillow and clutches a Winnie the Pooh Bear. A detective offers Kat a cookie to help put her at ease.
I can't eat well when I'm nervous, so. Okay. Take a nibble of the cookie. Yeah. Baby steps.
Sure there's no chocolate in there.
Yeah. Test the water to make sure the police aren't trying to poison me.
No, we're not.
So tell me about what's happening here.
We just wanted to hear her side of the story as she's the one that was closest to Chandler.
Talking to Kat Melander, investigators find out that Chandler visited the farm on the 4th of July with her, but the next day he returns to the farm alone, unannounced.
No one really knew he was coming. He came there alone.
Chandler went to the farm because my mom's fiance lets him walk in the pool because it helps stretch out his legs, make him feel better.
Except he wasn't using the pool. Kat's mom and her fiancé say they saw his car parked on the property, but no sign of Chandler. Until...
When they're in the pool, they look up and they see Chandler now walking. He doesn't have his shirt on. He comes to the pool and says, "Hey, can I get in the pool too?"
He was supposed to be there swimming in the family pool because he needed to swim for some therapy he needed to do. He was not swimming. She saw him coming from the wooded area and found that to be unusual.
Oh, okay. So what struck her is while he was supposed to maybe be there to swim for his therapy, he was not swimming.
Correct.
What I find interesting is you ask her, would anybody want to harm the Haldersons?
Any friends or relatives that they've been having problems with that you can think of? No?
No. I just can't see someone killing them. Like, that's the thing. Like I thought, like, maybe they got into a car accident, like, maybe their car's on the side of the road, like, I even thought, like, maybe that happened and someone took them to the hospital and they're just Jane and John Doe. Like, if someone killed them, it would have to be someone they, like, didn't know.
She seems generally like, are you kidding me? No. Not them. Not them. What do you make of that? What do you make of her response to whether or not somebody would want to harm them?
I think that she's telling an accurate story there, talking to friends and family members. No one would want to hurt the Haldersons.
Did you get the sense that she thought that Chandler had anything to do with this?
You don't think he had anything to do with his mom and dad being unheard from?
No. No. All my friends I've talked to, they're like, no, not Chandler, no. Like, that'd be crazy. I just don't see him killing Mr. and Mrs. Halderson. Like, He had SpaceX. Like, why would he jeopardize something he, like, would dream of?
I don't think she thought he had anything to do with it.
Not even suspicions, not even maybe, just nothing to do with it. Couldn't be Chandler.
Now remember, detectives in that interview room haven't told Chandler about any of these discoveries they've made, but that's about to change.
How does him not knowing about that human torso affect the way you interview him, the way you talk to him?
Hey Chandler, how are you doing? So the way we wanted to interview him initially was to have him lay out the story of what he was telling us from the first night.
So I think it's time we start talking about what happened to your parents. Like the truthful version.
So at that point, after we let him tell his entire story, we confront him and say that we know more than what he believes. We told him to come clean, basically not using those words, and we told him to tell us the truth.
Listen to me. This is the only chance you're gonna have to tell us the truth. Okay?
That's when investigators lower the boom on Chandler.
This is your chance to tell us why. Okay? I'm not BSing you. Okay? So can we do that?
Now, it's time for the really hard questions.
There's still another half of this couple that's missing.
If this turns out to be Bart's body, where is Krista Halderson?
So your mind starts thinking, well, what about Krista? You know, where's she? What happened to her?
No one's seen Krista, no one knows where Krista is, but they also haven't found a body. So the question is Krista still alive? If she is, where is she?
And this all leads some to be asking, is Chandler covering up for his mom? Could she have had something to do with Bart's disappearance?
This wasn't a normal disappearance. This wasn't a normal homicide. Every new detail made the case stranger.
The human remains found Thursday are connected to the missing couple Bart Halderson and Krista Halderson.
You have search teams up there, you have dogs.
So now, where is Krista? Could it be that she was also involved in Bart's murder?
Is she going to be held hostage? Is she being tortured?
Time is of the essence. You have to find Krista.
Yes.
This second time with the search warrant, we have crime scene investigators that are in the home going through everything.
We're in the basement. What did you find down here?
Down here, we found traces of blood on both sides of the basement.
I don't really have words for it, to be honest. I just don't know how somebody could do that to somebody else.
Cameras all around. We know that Bart went into that home and never came out.
Everything seems so evil. Chilling. Unbelievable.
It's July 8th in Madison, Wisconsin. It's been a week since Bart and Krista Halderson were last seen. It can really feel warm there in the summer, even when you're not under the microscopic lens of the police.
What's going on?
Bart and Krista Halderson's youngest son, Chandler, is being interviewed by police, but he hasn't yet been charged in their disappearance. Now, police are playing coy with him. They haven't yet revealed the discovery of a body at that farm in Cottage Grove.
Listen, I can't tell you what we know, but we know you're not telling us the truth. We know your parents are no longer with us, okay? And we know the reason why.
So far, nothing Chandler's told police has panned out. He told them and everyone else his parents went up to the cabin for the 4th of July weekend with some other couple, and nobody knows who they are. A search of the cabin clearly showed no one recently had been there.
You need to tell the truth about what happened and just tell us why it happened. Okay? If something happened, if you were defending yourself or if you just got fed up with stuff, you need to tell us the truth, okay? This is your chance to tell us why. Okay? I'm not BSing you. Okay? So can we do that?
Okay, they're okay. Lawyer. I'm sorry. Say it again, Chandler. Lawyer. Okay.
Chandler asking for a lawyer effectively ends the interview on the spot.
Tell me what you're taking from all this as trained investigators who have to question people like this.
The first thing that really stood out in my mind is when Detective Hendrickson told Chandler that his parents are no longer with us.
We know your parents are no longer with us. Okay, and we know the reason why.
There wasn't the huge shock reaction that I believe most people would display.
At this point, Chandler's not charged with murder, but he is charged with something else. Tell me about that.
Yeah, Chandler was charged with providing false information in a missing persons case. He was telling us that his parents had gone to a cabin up north, when in all reality we found that his parents didn't go anywhere at all.
Their son Chandler was arrested Thursday for allegedly providing false information to investigators.
Four days after Chandler's arrest, the autopsy results on the remains found at the farm come back.
The Dane County Medical Examiner confirms the human remains found last Thursday are those of 50-year-old Bart Halderson. A preliminary autopsy indicates he was murdered.
It was determined that the individual was shot, dismembered after they were killed, and was positively identified as Bart Halderson.
Okay, so what did you think when you got those results back?
It confirmed our suspicions of who it was, but now we had more evidence that we could charge Chandler with the homicide.
When I found out that Bart was dead, it was anger. It was, wow, this is real life. And there was just this big void of Bart being gone and no idea where Krista was.
A big question remained in our mind: where's Krista Halderson?
So now, where is Krista? Could it be that she was also involved in Bart's murder?
There were a few people that I communicated with. Well, maybe Krista's involved.
One theory was this an incident where Krista killed her husband, but her son lives with them and he loves his mom. Was he covering for her? Was she responsible? There were all these questions. Again, it was one of those things. One layer gets pulled back, you get one answer, but for each answer you get, there are 17 more questions.
You're asking the question of where's Krista? There was some talk in the community about perhaps maybe in some way, once the murder charges are out there, Krista had some sort of involvement in what happened with Bart. Did you pursue that theory?
No, I mean, we did not believe that she would have anything to do with it. Of course, as time is going on and days are passing, we're learning more information about their whereabouts. We had surveillance video we were reviewing, trying to get a timeline from July 1st to July 7th. And so what we were learning did not suggest that Krista had any involvement at all.
Because I knew Krista and I knew her personality, I knew Krista was not involved.
It seemed like something you read about not happening to our family. Somebody else, you read about that, something happening somewhere else to somebody else, and that was happening to our family.
What are you thinking there?
We had this tiny little hope that she was alive somewhere.
Authorities are holding out hope, too, and ask the public for help to somehow find Krista alive.
We are optimistic in regards to her whereabouts and where she is at, and we will let the evidence of this investigation tell us otherwise.
Perhaps the most troubling question authorities are left with: why? This was a loving family. Why would Chandler, or anyone else for that matter, want either of the Haldersons dead? It didn't seem to add up.
I was starting to have that sinking feeling in my stomach, like something went wrong in the family. I don't know what.
Facing at least one murder charge, Chandler is lawyered up and not talking. but someone very close to him is.
She had her cell phone back and had found something in her cell phone that she wanted to provide to us.
It's from Snapchat. I don't know if you use the app.
And you know how Snapchat messages disappear? One of Chandler's didn't.
The man accused of killing his father
is now being held in jail on a tentative charge of first-degree intentional homicide, hiding a corpse, and mutilating a corpse.
Sheriff's personnel tonight remain at the Halderson home in Windsor.
Investigators are leaving no stone unturned in the search for Krista Halderson. But with Chandler now in custody, hope is fading fast. Every minute that passes becomes more crucial.
and there was just this big void of Bart being gone and no idea where Krista was. I'm hoping she's alive.
A big question remained in our mind: where's Krista Halderson?
But things are about to take a dramatic turn. When police first spoke to Chandler's girlfriend, Kat Melander, she voluntarily gave them her cell phone. And on it, they found a vital clue to their investigation. By the time Kat comes in for a second interview, both she and police realize how important it can be.
So is there anything you want to tell us right away?
She comes to the realization that she didn't tell us everything and that she had something on her phone that could be helpful and valuable to finding the Haldersons. And it wasn't something that she intentionally withheld from us.
Tell me what you find on Kat's cell phone.
During the review of Kat's cell phone, we found numerous clues and treasures that I don't even know she knew she had. We found all of their message history, and we also found a screenshot of a Snapchat location that she had had.
That screenshot saved on Kat's phone shows Chandler's avatar labeled hubby on the banks of the Wisconsin River. Snapchat is a social media app specifically designed to share photos that disappear. Once you open a message, you only have a few seconds to take a screenshot before that picture is gone for good. In 2017, Snapchat added the feature Snap Map, which also lets you share your location with friends in real time.
And why did she have him on Snapchat in the first place?
They had a time in their relationship where he had cheated on her. She had his location services on for Snapchat. It was an agreement they had. She wanted to be able to know his whereabouts.
With her lawyer present and her cell phone in hand, she voluntarily talks police through what she now realizes could be critical evidence: a technological smoking gun.
It's from Snapchat. I don't know if you use the app, but that's him by the Wisconsin River off of Gulf Road.
Okay.
And that's
It's got a
8:58
timestamp on it.
Okay.
in the morning.
Sure.
And then my phone always tells me what day it is, so it's July 3rd, 8:58 a.m.
The continued presence of sheriff's personnel at the Halderson home has become almost background for this neighborhood here. Krista Halderson remains missing.
With the case in the news, Kat and her lawyer decide this information could be useful to police and to Kat.
Right before Kat goes back for that second interview, we're getting updates from law enforcement, and one of those comes in the form of a press briefing. And a reporter asks, "Is the girlfriend a suspect?" And the sheriff didn't answer. And that freaked Kat out.
Is there any way you guys can change the narrative to indicate that the girlfriend's not a suspect and that she's not somehow somebody you suspect? How early did you clear
Kat Melander.
Pretty early on, once we started looking at her phone and finding out other information about Chandler. But there were, different investigators in the command post that had different theories. Was she in the circle? Was she out of the circle? And we just had to do our job and let the evidence lead us to the conclusion, and she was not involved whatsoever.
Law enforcement was very clear. They don't think Kat had anything to do with these murders.
Why do you think she was so eager to offer all this information?
I think because she wanted to clear herself.
Why did she do a screenshot of a snap map on Chandler at that time?
She had left Chandler's house that morning on Saturday, and he was supposed to go to do some chores. And then she later looked at his location and saw that he was up by the Wisconsin River.
She goes, "This is where he was, middle of the morning on Saturday, after his parents went missing. He told me he was going to be doing chores at his house, and then He wasn't answering, and I checked Snapchat, and he's in this random area right along a river.
She didn't know why he was there, so she started questioning him about his location and what he was doing there.
I was like, hey, where you at? Where you at? Like, you're not responding to me on Snapchat. And like, we ended up calling, and he just said like he was in a dead zone.
Kat knows this area. It's a swimming hole. She's been with Chandler. They'd been that summer.
Have you been to that spot? Do you know?
I don't know if it's that specific spot, but we used to swim on the Wisconsin River.
Okay.
And like, it's one of the spots we would just go to. And like, I've only been there like maybe 3 times.
Okay.
But he's gone swimming there a couple times.
Okay.
In fact, other friends told police that was Chandler's favorite swimming spot. A year earlier, an ex-girlfriend receives this picture, which she gave to police, of Chandler in that area, posing with a tree and a knife in his hand.
This case really highlighted how social media tracks everything. And that became so crucial in this case.
But as enlightening as this Snapchat evidence is, a treasure trove of text messages between Kat and Chandler is even more intriguing. Investigators zero in on a couple of erratic texts from Chandler the morning Bart and Krista vanish, which sound ominous. I don't know. Stuff hasn't really been going well for me lately, so I'm trying to plan for the next thing to expletive me over. Yeah, I just had a great future plan, and it's falling apart. Kat replies, no, it's not. You're going to be okay. With suspicions of Chandler now high as ever, investigators obtain a search warrant and go back to the Halderson home.
We go back to the nexus of this case, the Haldersons' home in Windsor. Investigators start walking through, and they find a lot in that house, a lot that tells us what happened.
The Dane County Sheriff's Office now considers this to be a homicide investigation. That's because they found the remains of Bart Halderson late last week in a rural area of the town of Cottage Grove.
On July 11th, a judge authorizes a search warrant of the Halderson home in Windsor.
It's where they were living with Chandler. It was the last place we know Bart and Krista were. So investigators start walking through.
Investigators are familiar with the home as they'd been there just a few days earlier.
To step back a little bit, this isn't the first time you've been to the house, right?
Right.
Okay, so what did you do the first time when you were in the house? What did you find?
When we were in the house the first night on July 7th, Chandler did walk us around after we interviewed him and showed us what he wanted us to see around the home.
As the investigators entered the den on that initial search, they noticed the fireplace looked not quite right.
It has a glass front, 4 glass panels, or there's supposed to be 4, but one of them is missing.
There was a glass panel that was broken out in the fireplace, and he had disclosed that to deputies and to us the first night we were in there, and explained it that he was playing ball with one of the dogs, and the dogs broke the glass fireplace. And so that was his story.
Dog broke a panel, there was broken glass everywhere. I was cleaning it up, I cut my foot, I got some blood everywhere.
Chandler's saying there's broken glass and there was a lot of blood, but it's not related at all to this case. It was my dog's.
And when they look at his foot, they realize it's not a huge cut. He didn't slash the bottom of his foot open. It looks kind of more like a pinprick. Not necessarily something that seems like it would come from glass being all over the floor.
Found his blood, but did that line up with what he said about cutting his foot? And that's why that blood was there? Or was it that you might have gotten a sense that it was something different?
It could mean that Chandler had cut his toe near the fireplace, but it wouldn't explain why Bart and Krista's blood would be in the same area.
And on that second search of the home, luminol testing would reveal traces of blood belonging to Bart and Krista Halderson in the living room, leading investigators to believe they've both been murdered. But as they continue their search, they find more ominous evidence.
During the search warrant, we did find 2 cell phones and Bart and Krista's driver's licenses wrapped in tinfoil in a shoe in the garage.
What does that tell you?
That told us that Bart and Krista didn't go anywhere.
And how does that poke holes in what Chandler told you?
Chandler had told us that he was messaging back and forth with his mother, Krista, on Sunday, and that Krista was messaging him that they made it, and that they were going to be watching the fireworks and the parade. We found that that was not true.
How could she be texting him if her phone is sitting right there wrapped up in aluminum foil?
Yes.
The phone proved that Bart and Krista never left their house. They never went to the cabin. The only other person who was home was Chandler.
Do you have any sense of why they were wrapped in aluminum foil?
I think Chandler thought that would protect them from cell phone towers.
Detectives also did an extensive search of Chandler Halderson's bedroom, resembling something like an armory.
So in Chandler's bedroom, we actually located a case of approximately 480 SKS rifle rounds.
So we're in the basement now. What did you find down here?
Down here, we found traces of blood on both sides of the basement. We had the shell casing that we had located over here. There was some other blood evidence on different items down here.
Okay, so you have the blood, the shell casing. Did this tell you, along with the other evidence, where Bart and Krista were killed?
It did, yeah. They were killed down here.
So you had the shell casings, you had the ammo, but you didn't have the murder weapon. Where was that recovered?
The rifle was recovered at the farm in Cottage Grove.
The weapon was found hidden in a barn on the farm's property. No one had any idea it was there.
Chandler really liked first-person shooter video games. And in those games, you can choose what weapon you use. And he liked to try a variety, he wasn't a single gun type person, but he liked the SKS rifle in those video games. He used it a lot.
Now you have a link between the shell casings and the ammo and this gun at the farm.
Yes. The picture that we were seeing at that point is that Chandler had murdered Bart and Krista Halderson in the home and went through extensive work to dispose of their bodies.
What was the reason for it? All in all, they were a loving family, from what we were told by everybody.
Those questions, prosecutors promise, are about to be answered.
The lawyers will now make opening statements.
Got a GPS on the phone. Go ahead and get it.
It's from Snapchat. I don't know if you use that, but that's...
You've been to that spot?
I don't know if it's that specific spot, but we used to swim on the Wisconsin River.
Investigators already have the snap map from Chandler Halderson's girlfriend, placing him at the Wisconsin River. But it's a second tip of a random sighting that piques their interest.
We had sent a detective up to the Wisconsin River area. One of the neighbors happened to come over to that detective and tell him that she had seen a strange or suspect male in that area the week prior. We arranged for a larger team of detectives to go up to the area, and we wanted to do a land search of that property.
They go where Chandler was. It's a dense, vegetative area, wild state land, in between, a road and the river.
You have search teams up there, you have dogs. What's going through your mind?
We were hopeful that we would find something.
Time is of the essence. You have to find Krista.
Yes.
As they're walking around, some of the people searching start to smell something. And then they walk a little bit further and they see something.
What did you find at that location?
In close proximity to each other, there were dismembered body parts.
The Dane County Medical Examiner's Office, working in partnership with the Wisconsin State Crime Lab, has confirmed the DNA obtained from part of the dismembered human remains as matching 53-year-old Krista Halderson.
I was just angered. I was shocked, felt sick to my stomach. I mean, these are honest to goodness friends.
It's just so graphic. I don't really have words for it, to be honest.
I see you thinking about it, and it's almost brings about some emotion in you.
For sure. I just don't know how somebody could do that to somebody else, especially if it's their parents, right? We go to homicides all the time. We go to murders all the time. And a lot of that stuff is in the heat of the moment. This is just a whole nother level of emotion.
The location where Krista's remains are found seems familiar to at least one detective, and then it clicks when he sees a unique tree trunk, the same one in that photograph given to police by Chandler's ex, showing Chandler near his favorite swimming spot.
Chandler Halderson is now officially charged in the death of both of his parents.
Chandler Halderson pleads not guilty to all the charges.
Everything seems so evil. And
what was the reason for it?
And just a couple of months later, prosecutors set out to answer those questions as Chandler goes to trial.
Thanks, you can be seated, everybody. Thank you. Good morning.
The city of Madison, Wisconsin rings in the new year with confetti, cocktails, and a double murder trial. Prosecutors set out to prove Chandler killed Bart and Krista Halderson. And a big part of their strategy is to prove their theory as to why.
Juries always want to understand why someone would commit a murder. Why would you kill your parents? And if prosecutors don't explain it, it's kind of a hole in their case.
The lawyers will now make opening statements. Attorney Brown.
Thank you. Chandler Halderson murdered his parents, dismembered their bodies, and hid them around southern Wisconsin. How does this happen? How does this kid, with everything in the world going for him, promising new jobs, school, a girlfriend that loves him, willing to move across the country for him, how does this happen?
The jury hears about Chandler Halderson's IT degree, studies in renewable energy, a dream job at SpaceX, and a new life with his girlfriend in Florida.
He was about to embark on a career that people in the IT field could only dream of.
But they also hear about what prosecutors say was a concoction, a total fabrication of the events leading up to Bart and Krista's disappearance.
He gives this bizarre story of his parents leaving in an unknown car, going to a cabin with an unknown couple, with an unknown amount of money, for really an unknown reason.
Attorney Dorrell.
Thank you. The defense should be demonstrating why they say there's reasonable doubt in this case, why maybe he didn't do it.
Chandler Halderson did not murder his parents. He is not guilty of those crimes. And he lived peacefully in his parents' home. He was just a normal kid.
The defense comes out at the beginning, opening statements, and admits their client is a liar. Chandler Halderson is a liar. But they say that doesn't make him a killer.
When someone is on trial for the most serious crime possible, and every little thing they do, every little lie they might have told is blown up and thrown against someone. That's when proof beyond a reasonable doubt matters.
And that's actually an excellent strategy because you want to let the jury know from the beginning all of the bad facts about your case.
And as prosecutors begin to call witnesses, there's one who has a haunting story.
My name is Omar Job, O-M-A-R-J-O-B-E.
About a phone call he receives just before the murders. A conversation not only revealing, but stunning.
The trial continues for Chandler Halderson, who's accused of killing and dismembering his parents, Bart and Krista Halderson.
Chandler Halderson is on trial for the murder of both his parents. And from jump, prosecutors promised the jury they'd hear the reason why. And in their opening statements, prosecutors told the jury it all started because that promising future Chandler supposedly had was a mirage. Called to the witness stand, Omar Job, a Madison College enrollment officer, who says his phone rang on June 29th. It's a call, he says, he won't soon forget.
Was that call recorded?
Yes.
Okay, what's your first name? Chandler, C-H-A-N-D-L-E-R. Last name is H-A-L-D as in David, E-R-S-O-N.
It's
a normal phone call that we receive every day. This person was trying to request a transcript.
Trying to get an appointment scheduled to meet with somebody to mainly just get a copy of the transcript.
On this call, Job is hearing a complaint from Chandler that for months now, he hasn't received his college transcripts.
Okay, so it looks like you owe a balance. So that's why you can't request it. Hello?
The jury listens as Omar Job then tries to confirm what classes Chandler is taking.
You were taking IT classes, right? I don't see that you were in a program. Well, prior to the IT, there was a solar program too. Yeah, but I don't see that the IT degree is in there, right? No, those are just classes.
I found that Chandler was taking classes at Madison College for a couple of semesters, and then he stopped.
But here's the thing about that phone call. It's not at all what it appears to be.
At that time, it didn't register in my mind.
On the other line, it is a Halderson, but it's not Chandler. It's actually Bart Halderson pretending to be his son.
Prosecutors play it during trial. The jury got to hear what Bart sounded like as he figured out his son was lying to him.
Bart has been trying unsuccessfully for months to get the transcripts from Chandler, and he was beginning to get suspicious.
According to prosecutors, the phone call was a ruse by Bart to see if his son was actually enrolled in college, and it turns out he wasn't. He failed out.
Prosecutors also allege that Chandler had set up fake email accounts in an attempt to deceive his father about why his transcripts weren't coming.
Chandler was looping Bart in on some of these emails with Madison College, just trying to show Bart that this is why I'm not getting my transcripts.
But the problem is, according to detectives, they're fake too.